Do this. Thank you all for allowing me to be here. I am very, very fortunate. I have, those of you who I don't know, I started working with Keller Williams 25 years ago, and not working as part of the company, but I went to a presentation with Keller, and I thought, oh, wow, this company's actually a little different. And I couldn't figure out why it was different, but I just made the choice. And so at that time, I decided, okay, how am I going to grow my business? Well, I'm just going to seek out the models and systems because I'm a system person and make my life easy. So I took the last $5,000 we had in the bank account, told my wife, which was thrilled, that I was going to travel the country and talk to all the biggest teams in the country and figure out how I rip off and duplicate. And that's all I did. So this is my red book. As you can see, this is 15 years of teaching this, I think probably 200 times around the country. And every page has some wisdom on it from somebody in this company. So it's very dear to me. If I lost it, I'd probably be very upset. But I don't take it apart much unless I'm specifically, I used to actually have almost every page memorized to what was on that page. I've been through it so many times. What I learned, though, was this, is the opportunity of database is something that is really a lost art in the agent world, and also even more so in the lender world. We all work so doggone hard to find people that want to buy and sell. But then the question is, why don't we get more business from them? Because I can statistic you to death on the numbers of people that actually follow up with people. And so I had this moment in my career where I said, what am I doing here? I have all these people that already love me and I'm not even utilizing. And I had a moment like, okay, I got to figure that out. And so obviously Keller has models and systems to building teams and doing all those things. And at the time I had a mega team. So those of you who don't know, I've closed over 4,500 closings with Keller Williams agents in the Midwest. And that was my thing. I just spent all my time with the offices and training and teaching. The one thing I've learned is, and the reason that's my brain actually, and I started thinking about how can I impose or share with the agents a way to grow a bigger, better business. Because the problem is this, you all work your tails off to find all these people, pass them off to a lender, and the lender gets to monetize them and you don't. That's a problem for me. Always has been a problem. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. The reason this is my brain is this whole thing came from one single thought. And when I was in Dallas at Family Reunion in 2020, January, whatever it was, I went there and didn't feel well, came back, and I was like put in the hospital because I had lost my ability to breathe for some reason. And so they went in and they wanted to put me on a machine. I said, no, they're not doing that. I had no idea what was going on. They thought it was influenza, and it became COVID. I was one of the first patients in COVID in Chicago, which I was thrilled about. Listen, I get to be first at something. But what happened to that was very interesting. I went on another trip with a group of Keller OPs and came back and was like, I don't feel good still. And so they took me in the hospital for a few days. You know, this all comes full circle for you in a second. And I was like, what's going on here? And I went to 6 different doctors and no one really told me what was happening. Come to find out, when I was in the hospital with shortness of breath, someone mistakenly had done an MRI on me. It wasn't even ordered for me, but they did an MRI. My wife had no idea why I was doing an MRI. I was in there for my lungs. They did it. Long story short, that 6th doctor I went to, they just gave me an address and it was a cancer center. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder who has cancer. I mean, that's how my brain thinks. I'm like, it can't be me. And so I went in and they said, hey, you have a tumor in your head right here. That came from just somebody accidentally finding an MRI, because my brother had died just 3 years prior from brain cancer. So the thought was, okay, can't do anything about it. What am I going to do? And the logic was, in the days of having COVID, they determined that I wasn't necessary to have surgery. So I had to live with that for 120 days till they could get in to actually do a surgery. And they asked me, do you want to have surgery or just see if it grows? No, what? No, I don't want to see if it grows. Let's take the thing out, right? When I came out of surgery, they gave me a piece of paper like this. You remember back to the old days, see Dick and Jane run when you were in kindergarten type thing? I couldn't read it. I couldn't read for days. And I thought, what am I going to do if I can't read? I thought, okay, well, I'll just start talking to my phone. I talked to my phone for hours and hours and hours and hours just so I could hear it back of what I was saying, because I didn't know if I could talk either with intelligence. And obviously it's passed. 4 months later, I was able to read and do all these things. But that was the time when COVID hit and rates went to where? Zero. I call it zero because it was so stupid and ridiculous. They went so low. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to travel to see all these market centers and share what it looks like to grow a business with your database. So when I grew my database, so I've done a little over $1 billion in production just with refinances in the last 10 years, which is a lot. My last 36 months before I disbarred my team and started doing this, we did $316 million in production in 36 months. All referrals, all current clients. No agent business included in that. So the reality that I have the question for you is, how much do you monetize out of your database? Because I know our brains think this way all the time, what we can and can't do. I wish I would have done this, or I should be doing this. What does that look like for you, right? And so when we start looking at this, let me see if this is going to work for me. I don't think it is, but maybe. Hey, guys. There we go. I thought about this. This is one of the things I said in my iPhone. So a lot of the things you're going to see there are things that I told myself when I was laying in a bed with my head tied up. And it was this: you can't always choose the path you walk, but you can choose the way you walk it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to walk the damn path the way I want to walk it. And I'm going to do what I do best because I don't care what's going on inside my head. And the idea of that comes down to this: how are you walking your path beyond just buys and sells? Have you ever heard of Jim Collins, the book Good to Great? The book Good to Great has been around from the turn of time. But he also wrote a book that's on Amazon, I think cost $8, and it's called The Flywheel Method. And I'm going to share that with you today. And the Flywheel Method is what most of the top 100 corporations in America built their business on, was a flywheel. And I'm going to show you how to utilize it, how to do it, and how it will change you. Because it was the difference in my career when I built the flywheel. And this was 15 years ago. So the hope is today is success is not based on yesterday's work. Somebody said to me the week before family reunion, hey, listen, this is the way I've always done it. This is the way I'm going to keep doing it. Well, how many referrals are you getting for your database? So I would ask the question to you: for every 10 calls, do you get one referral? For every 8 calls, do you get a referral? For every 5 calls, do you get a referral? What is your number? How many calls do you have to make to your client database before they give you a name of somebody who actually transacts with you? Do you know that? I do. I only did because Gary said, you don't know it, then how do you run a business? So I try to figure out, okay, how do I do that? So I start counting. We started logging the information. And the reality came back. I had to figure out in my life what my inhibitor was in my brain and my thoughts that stopped me from being a better version of me. I had all the abilities to do it. I had the systems and models to do it. We all have the systems and models to do it. But how do we do something that we know will change our business, right? If you had one person do business with you out of every 10 phone calls, how much fun would that be? Would you all be excited about that? Oh my gosh, I would pound the phones all day long to do that. But what do we resort to? We resort to buying leads. We resort to doing all these things that we can. They're even harder because I know you have to call at least 8 times to get a lead to even talk to you, statistically. So I started thinking about that, like, all right, well, what was my inhibitor? My inhibitor was nothing more than me. This will be the best year of my life if you get your mind right. And today, my hope is to give you guys a different way of looking at something or doing something that may change the way you see how you grow a business, because this business of your database could and should be 4 to 5 times what you do buys and sells. That's true. Talking to some of the biggest in the country, the best at this are not the biggest. The best of it are the individual agents, believe it or not. Because when you're on a team, you're pushing the agenda. We just need to do more buys and sells. We have an ISA team. They call 3,000 leads a week for us and all these things. I know teams out there, and this is no joke, they're spending $500,000 a year on leads or more. $500,000 or more in leads. And believe it or not, there are some in Southern Illinois that do that. How would you think about spending $500,000? If you say you want to get 2 times revenue, I don't know anybody in the United States that has made $1.5 million from buying $500,000 in leads. No. But does it fulfill something in your business? That's the question. Just a thought. How much time do you spend finding clients? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Because what I'm told by all of you all over the country, a lot of time. That's what I do. I hunt. Right? Hunting is hard. Gathering is easy. Right? People think by buying leads, I'm gathering. No, you're hunting still, and it's harder because they don't know you from Adam. Right? Or what about how many of your purchases are leads? How much revenue do you spend monthly to find somebody? Have you ever determined, and I ask this everywhere, how much does it cost for you to find a client? And I'm not talking monetarily, but I'm talking about time. Your time's worth something, right? Everybody here should have an idea of how much they're worth per hour. And if your time takes 2 or 3 hours to find a person, is that good or is that bad for you? No one could determine that other than you, but you have to decide how much of my time is being spent doing this. Because you're giving that lead to me, and I appreciate that. You guys have funded my entire life, and I'm very grateful for that. But I'm here to fund yours now. The reality is my time is worth something. And I want you to figure out what you're worth, because that's going to determine how much effort you put into your database. It's very hard to say every time you have a call with somebody, you know somebody's buying or selling. Josh was just a smidge off. 13.2 years was last year. This year it's 15. The average person will stay in a home 15 years. 48% of those people will stay in a home more than 20 years. When this book was first written in 2003, the average person would buy or sell 7 homes. Now it's 3. Times have changed. That means we have to shift with it. And a lot of people are not shifting. They're sticking with the same narrative. So the idea of this today is to just think differently and do things that are a little bit different. The average person will buy every 15 years. That's not what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of the other 48% buying after 20 years. And I have a whole bunch of statistical data that you can utilize in your database at the end of this that's going to help you understand why those numbers are so critical to your success in growing your business. And growth is whatever you want it to be. It doesn't matter whether it's 4 million or 100 million, it's whatever you want it to be, and all this can be a part of it. So when we start looking at this, think about this. Don't take this the wrong way, but if I show an agent who's doing a $350,000 house at 2.5% commission, they're making $8,750. This is my statistical data of my career. I did the purchase. I did 3 to 4 refinances with that person. 3 to 4. I averaged 1.81 referrals for every single refinance I did. So just so you all know, I monetized an average $35,437, and you're monetizing $8,750. You are the most important person in this entire transaction, and you're monetizing the less. That makes no sense. Tell me you guys don't think that makes sense too. Yeah, everybody's nodding their head and smiling. You're damn right that doesn't make sense. It's my blood, sweat, and tears and my money. It's finding the lead, and I'm monetizing 4 times less than Todd. And that doesn't mean I want you to be a lender. Please don't think that way. But the reality is, this should be stunning to you. You are the center of every transaction, and you're making 4 times less than me. Do you know the average person only holds a mortgage for 3 to 4 years? That's statistically true. The last 15 years. That's real. Think about that. How many people renovate? How many people pay off debt? How many people refinance, shorten their term, all those things that go with it? That is real information out of my database for the last 31 years of tracking it. But just think about what this number looks like Depending on where you're at, 350 could be 550. It could be 180. It doesn't change the number that the revenue is 4 times greater for me than it is you. Are you thrilled with that? You can just say no. No, I'm not thrilled with it, even though I'm doing it. I used to do it, right? That should be a little bothersome to you, right? Think about this. Why do we struggle having conversations with our database? This was the breakdown of my database in those 3 years. 376 referrals over 36 months. That's what I had. I did 599 clients, either bought, refinanced, consolidated, or constructed. That's how I got to that number. Here's what's frightening to all of you. That's $6.337 million that you guys should add half of. Would you guys like to split up $3.5 million with me? What's he say? Yeah, exactly. But isn't that crazy to think that that's the way the real estate world works? And tell me it logically makes sense to you. It doesn't make sense that you're making less. It's your hard work that brings the person to the table, and I appreciate that. Because hunting is a lot harder than gathering. It is. The hunt is the most important part of this. The hunt and to develop the relationship that's strong enough that they want to transact with you. So this should be the way it should be. It should be Todd should be making 6.3 million. He should be making 3.3 million, and I get the rest. So I'm trying to say it's okay to think that way because you should. Everybody with me on this? Yeah. Hopefully you're thinking like, damn it, I wish I had some of that right now. Right?
I'm thinking about following up with past clients. I think you've been here so many years, but what was their rate for bond? And she'll follow up to see if they're considering it. Everybody had thinking, I'm following up with them. Way I got potential to move. But moving isn't fun. But perhaps they might not.
Yes. I was in a
President
president.
do it every 13 years. So they say, stop bothering. Now we got something else to talk
Well,
about.
I'm like, what do you say every quarter for 13 to 15 years? You stop calling. No wonder you don't call your damn say to them. It's mind blowing that you're at that point. It's like, yes, that's why I throw this up there. It's not always popular, but it's real. That's out of my database. And I could say every one of them was a Keller agent who gave it to me. Yeah, that's anxiety to me to actually say it in front of you, but that's the truth, right? So when you look at it, is how do we change our mindset and what we manifest in our business? Because most of the things I hear, either when I've been coaching or doing these presentations, like, I can't do that. You did it, but I can't. Well, who says you can't? Who says you can't change your narrative and how you run your business? Who says that you're not capable of doing it? You're only telling yourself that, right? Would you all agree with that? I mean, think about this. This definition. Person provides personalized assistance services, acts as a knowledge point of contact for arranging anything. Are you a concierge to your business right now? Are you? Think about that for 1 second. The reason I defined it is somebody said, can you define concierge? I can't even spell it. No, I can't define it to you, right? But think about that. Are you personally providing personalized assistance and services, acting as a knowledge point for anything and everything for every one of your clients? It's something to think about. It's a big deal. You know what? Has anybody gone to a hotel they love? Right? I like hotels. I'm a little bit of a hotel snob. So if I can stay at the Ritz-Carlton or something, I'll do it. But so here's an example. My wife and I, a lot of times in Chicago, when I lived there most of the time, would go to the city, and on 4th of July, we stay at the top floor of the Ritz-Carlton and look at the fireworks from our room, looking down on the fireworks. It was amazing, right? So cool. But when we walk up with our car, they know our name. I've never met you before. How did you know my name was Todd? Interesting, right? I come to find out they have little things here. They go, this license plate here, what's their names? Okay, that's amazing. Or how about walking to the front desk and they have your 2 favorite drinks sitting there because the bartender put it in your profile what you drink. That's concierge service. That's why we spend the money to do things like that. right? We all have the resorts we love. We all love the hotels, the places we go, because it makes us feel good, right? How are we doing making our clients feel good every day? Do they know that's your agenda? Do they know that's what you want to do for them, right? This is the number one thing. So I do a lot of meetings weekday mornings with offices around the country to where I'll come in and do economics for those offices, telling them what's going to market, here's what's going to transcribe and this and that. Certainty in uncertain times. I'm asked more times than not, are we seeing uncertainty coming or do we have certainty of what's going to be happening? Which is a little bit of a tongue twister. The answer is yes to both. Okay, just so everybody knows. The answer is 100% yes. But you know how you create certainty in your business? Is with your database. Because they're already passionate about you. That's the greatest certainty you can have in any business is your database. They already transacted with you. They're already friends with you. You already went through this incredibly emotional time to get them into the right home. Good or bad, they're all yours. The only reason they don't reuse you is because they lose connection with you, right? How many people have had a client move out of state? Probably all of you. Do they call you with their real estate needs when they move out of the state? Probably not. The question is why? Why don't they? Why can't I take the 35% referral fee? Right? Interesting. Think about this. The average person has 70,000 thoughts per day. Can you guys imagine your brain having 70,000 thoughts? So I studied the brain since I had a brain issue, so I might as well share that information with you, right? 70,000 thoughts per day. 75% of your thoughts are negative. Did you guys know that? Think about that. There's a wonder why we walk out the door going, I'm freaking exhausted today. But here's the scary part. 95% of your 75% are repeated all day long in your brain. We've all walked out the door and said, I'm exhausted. I say that at a family reunion, I'm exhausted. I have no idea why. It's probably because half the time going, I'm so tired of saying the same thing over and over and over all day, right? But think about that. How do we engage in self-talk, challenge our negative thoughts, and practice mindset when our brain already has the habit of thinking 75% of our thoughts are negative and repeating them 95% of my day? How do you overcome that? How many people have you walked out the door and said, this was a fabulous day, and you walk back out the next day and go, this sucked? We've all had that, right? Do you suck more or do you have happy more? Because the only way we overcome this, and talking to some brain experts, how do we overcome the 95% of repetitiveness? We can't. Okay, well, that's good news. Well, how do I then diminish my 70% of 75% of thoughts? You can do that. That is definitely controlled by the way we think and do. You'll never get rid of negativity because we're humans, but you can also challenge the idea of having less negative thoughts and more positive thoughts. The can-do attitude versus the not can-do, or I'm sick of doing this versus I'm happy I get to do this, right? Think about that. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? Think about that. So when you start looking at it, our minds create matter. We've heard all about that matter, right? The junk we have in our heads all the time. Bull calls that the drunk monkey. I can't, I wish I could, all those things, right? No one of us does not say those things. We just do, right? But how does it challenge our moods every day? How does it change our habits and our behavior? Remember, 95% of our negativity is repeated 5 times. How do you overcome the moods that you're in walking in? Are you skipping in? Or are you walking in, damn, I got to do this again today? Right? Or the habits. That's what we're talking about right now is moods challenge the habits and habits change the behavior. If you say you're not going to follow up your database, just like you said, kind sir, what am I going to say for the next 15 years every quarter? I have no idea what you say for that. I actually don't. I feel bad. Because I actually took the real estate exam way back in the day and I thought, I don't know what I would say every quarter to them. At least I have a conversation with them now, right? So I want you to really think about this in your day is how do I create matter that is positive and influential to what I do every day with my family and my business? That matters. That's the matter we keep talking about. But so much of our matter is negative. every single day. It just is. It's the way we're programmed as human beings. I don't know why the good Lord gave me so much negativity, but it's there. And I don't know how to overcome that other than just telling myself all day long in my self-talk that I had to do this. Once upon a time, before I got in my world 31 years ago, I played professional golf. I had a coach. He was a brain coach. He says, you're helpless. I said, I'm not. You got to help me. That's what I'm paying you all the money for. Why? How do I change this? His name was Dr. Bob Rotella. Those of you who are in the athletic world know Dr. Bob Rotella. He's written more books in the mind than ever. His books are so amazing at changing the way you think and do. I can't even begin to tell you. It all starts with a single thought. And that thought will then dictate the rest of your day. Right? If you have a tough day with the kids, tough night, you're like, how often do you sleep well? You don't. Tough day with your wife, you sleep well? I don't. Because I got negative matter running all day long. So I have to shift it right away. It's just easy to say, you're probably right and I'm wrong. I know. Let's just figure it out, right? But think about this. When you start talking about the idea of calls, if I picked up my phone right now and handed it to one of you and said, I'm just going to dial a number randomly and I want you to just have a conversation about how to hire yourself. Should you do it? Okay, good. Very rare person to say yes. All right, let's try it. I'm just kidding. But call reluctancy is a big deal, right? If I have nothing to call about, then what the heck do I say when I call? It's not necessarily call reluctancy, but there's some of that in there. I don't know what to say. People I say, I just don't know what to say when I call Lee. They don't know you anyway. Say whatever you want. What are you reluctant to calling that person for? But when it's your clients, it's meaningful. It's like, okay, I fell on the sword. I'm sorry. I know I haven't been connecting with you. I'm going to really do a better job of that. I value our relationship. And then 5 months goes by. I have to fall on the damn sword again because I didn't say anything. I didn't follow through on the quarterly call because once again, I had a brain saying, what am I going to say when I call them? Right? What about showing up daily? When your brain is operating in the negative, it's very hard to show up daily. Time blocking. I'm going to time block on my database for 7 hours. Don't do it. Let's try 15 minutes and see if it works first. Okay. Because everybody tells you, I'm going to go call leads all day. I'm going to block out 4 hours. Please don't. It'll never happen. It'll never, ever happen. Right? Being uncomfortable. How many people in here are okay with being uncomfortable? I mean, generally uncomfortable. Is everybody good with that?
I think a lot comes from it. It stinks.
Yes.
A lot.
A lot can come from it. So I got challenged back in the day by Dr. Bob Rotella. He said, the only way you're going to overcome the idea of uncomfortable is to start being uncomfortable every day. I'm like, boy, that's wisdom. Okay, so I have a Jeep. I go to work at 4 in the morning. Don't ask why. I just do. I sit in front of my Jeep at dark and I figure out what I'm going to do before 10 o'clock to be uncomfortable. And I've done that for 10 years. I can honestly tell it's hard to figure out what I'm uncomfortable with, but I know it's there. No, I'm not going to lean on the window that folds down. I'm going to look 6,000 feet to the ground. No, I'm not doing that. It's uncomfortable. What are you doing to be uncomfortable every day in your business? Have you thought about it? My wife, we go out to dinner, especially in the burbs of Chicago. I used to live up in the Naperville area, Wheaton area. She would say, are you talking to everybody in the city tonight or are we doing date night? That was her thing with me. And I'm like, can we do both? No, choose. So I said, I can't stop by and not say hi to somebody. He said, you don't even know them. What are you saying hi to them for? Because I'm being uncomfortable. I can talk to anybody in the airport, but I'm not the guy that'll talk for an hour and not know what just happened. I'll say hi to anybody. Are you being uncomfortable today? And if you were uncomfortable every day, how would that affect the development of your business? How would it? How would it change things for you? Do you know what would make you uncomfortable right now?
If someone else was uncomfortable.
I love that. Yes. Do you ever ask why you're uncomfortable?
More often I try to intuit it.
Nice.
Just occasionally if I can't puzzle it out. But again, that's another step toward being even more uncomfortable, to being confronted with the obvious. feelings they're having and they might not be ready to disclose it.
That's right. And if they're truly uncomfortable, they'll say, I'm not really comfortable with disclosing it. Now, does that make you uncomfortable?
No,
Good, because it shouldn't.
no, it's a boundary that's appropriate.
Yeah, I think it is. But you have to be uncomfortable enough to get to that place. Right? Yeah, I'm sure you've all talked to someone on the phone and you could tell really, really that there's something going on.
Yeah.
So have you ever done this where you knew that something was going on? A friend of you called and you could tell in their voice something's wrong, say, hey, super busy, great, I'll follow up with you later. And then realize 10 minutes later, like, that voice wasn't normal for him or her. They were calling me for a reason. I probably should call them back and go, hey, I'm sorry I hung up. I felt like something was there. What's going on? Have you ever done that before?
Sure.
Yeah. Because we're living in the moment of our routine every day. And sometimes we skip beyond the uncomfortable. And I'll just tell you, is the uncomfortable is the best thing that ever happened. What's that?
Not doing anything can also be uncomfortable.
100%. Yes. Did everybody hear her? Doing nothing is uncomfortable because you know you should be doing something. That's the point.
So then you have to choose your comfortable with it and have positive results, or uncomfortable with it doesn't.
So that's 100% right. Is if you're uncomfortable doing nothing, which I think all of us are, because we all have some sort of intelligence to say I should be doing something right now, right? But I've been on social media for 3 hours, right? Or whatever it is. But there's a reality is, how do you overcome that? I will tell you what you just said is the number one reason development of business never happens. Because sometimes it's just, I don't know what to do. Well, if you have everyone in the world to call but have no idea what to say to them, then how in the heck are you going to know or overcome being uncomfortable? Makes sense, right? It's a very, very interesting thing when you start really digging deep. Is your uncomfort doesn't come when you're busy. Your uncomfort comes when I'm not sure what to do. Right? It's like you get an argument for something. Every male on earth has this problem, including me. They try to solve it. Right? Solve the problem. I always say, listen, in this conversation, are we solving or are we just listening? And I say, because my wife and I are on a rhythm with this, right? Because I don't know when she wants to just listen or resolve. I don't know if she's asking me a question or just telling me something. I just resolve. I just want you to listen. Now she just tells me, I need your opinion, or I just want you to hear me out. Great. I let her choose that. But if you think about your business, you just can't say that in your business. You can say it to your wife and kids or your family. But how do you resolve that in your business? Well, you can't really, unless you know everybody that personal, right? Your value deficiency is creating fear. And these are typically the 5 things that are developing the fear for you stopping being a better version of you. The best version of you every single day is that level of uncomfort, whether you're doing something or doing something, there is uncomfortable there. Right? Even the idea of going to a listing and being nervous because you want it so bad, you're working yourself into a tizzy because you want to make sure you get it. And then you start going, am I first? Am I last? Am I in the middle? Which way should it be? Yes.
It reminds me of a recent conversation about problem solving. That's our job.
Yeah.
Professional problem solvers. Yeah. And so we want to find a solution that closes the deal, for example.
Of course.
Our resolution. But that's not always what our client wants, right? And so I found myself kind of backtracking. But actually, I want you to tell me what direction you want to go.
So you're doing a needs analysis now, right? Yes.
Always what we, the solution should be, but listening to who we're working for.
That's right.
They want.
Yeah. I've always found doing a needs analysis on everything solves my issues of being in trouble. Right? Because you're 100% right. We all feel like we can comfortably steer everybody in this opportunity, but we're steering people without really understanding what their needs are first. Right? It's a very, very easy way to get in an awkward situation, as I say. Right? It's like I never have a phone call with somebody when I was producing and say, okay, this is what you're going to do. Well, I haven't told you anything yet. Right? We all have that. It's just naturally put into our souls, right? So think about this. What is your relationship between your thoughts and your business? Right now, if you had to recognize and think about something over the next 4 or 5 days, what about this sentence? What is the relationship between your thoughts and your business? I actually have that on a sticky right on my computer, and I look at it every day. Is what is going to stop me in the development of a relationship because my thoughts are not great today? I always told my team, if you come in and your thoughts aren't right, just go home and relax and have a great day. Isn't that vacation? No, that's just mental health. Just get yourself back in the right place and come back tomorrow. You're going to be a better version of you. There's a reality to this in a big way. How do we overcome value deficiency? Can I ask a question? Do you all know what your identity is? Have you ever thought about what your identity is to everyone else? How do people think of you? Right? That's a big statement you have to, you're like, that may hurt a little bit. Yeah. What sets you apart from everybody else? I did this skill once. It was a room much bigger than this. I brought 10 agents, lined them all up right here, came back here, sat in a chair, and I said, all right, I'm selling my house. Tell me why I should choose you over everyone else. Bless you. You know what they all said? Every single one of them. 10. These are all producing R2 agents, all cappers. Every one of them gave me their statistics. I said, that's great. Now let's start over. You're not allowed to give me any numbers or statistics about your business. Now tell me why I should choose you. You want to talk about uncomfortable? It was like the tongue would not work, and it was dead silence. What sets you apart is sometimes it's really, really important. That's what sets you apart from following up in your databases, is what sets you apart. Why would they talk to you? Why would they refer you? Statistically, I think the number is now 87% of people said they would reuse the current agent that they had to buy or sell their home. Only 13% do. That hurts a little bit, right? Have you ever thought about the idea? I always say this when I'm talking to people. Listen, I have to be interesting right now so you know who I am, but I'm really interested in you. Have you ever sat by somebody and they're so interesting, they just talk for hours about them? And you never like, great, hope you have a good day. You know, it's one of those things is, are you being interested or are you being interesting in your business and your personal life? Because if you're always being interesting, it's going to be very hard to find opportunity. I think we'd all agree with that, right? Or how about doing right over, right over and over and over? What does that actually mean? I had to noodle on that for a good year. What does it mean doing right over and over and over? Does it mean morally? Ethically? Does it mean just waking up every day at the same time, putting on my pants and going to work? Being a better spouse, being a better dad? What was that? It was everything. How do you wake up saying I'm going to be a better version of me today? What can I do better to work on something today? Because that's hard. That's the uncomfortable part for ourselves, right? Doing the unexpected without credit. I can't wait till I generate enough wealth to give to everybody I want to give to and never let them know where it came from. That is my joy. You know how fun that is? You know what social media does for you right now with your clients? Everybody posts everything in their life other than bathroom on social media. Okay, that's okay. But if there's a great picture of the kids, you know, this great thing is you can pull the picture off, print the thing for 99 cents, buy a $5 frame and deliver it to their front porch and not even know where it came from. When I was producing, we went through thousands of frames, dropping them off to agents, probably to clients, service providers, everything. And no one ever knew. Because many times I would just send a courier. But think about how fun it is for you to get a picture of you. Let's say it was a family vacation or you and your spouse did something. The picture just shows up and you're like, where'd this come from? Who thought about doing that? That cost me like $6 to do it. Are you doing that for your clients right now? Are you doing something that's unexpected? Especially for your A-plussers, right? Interesting, right? Or what about community? How involved in community? And the most important part is, how are your people in your world emotionally attached to you? Why? Why are they emotionally attached to you? Now, I'm not talking about your kids. I'm not talking about your family. I'm talking about everyone else in your life. Why you? We've always heard the idea of you're the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself, right? There's also an outer rim to that and an outer rim to that one. How many people know you? What emotionally attaches you to everyone else? It's something you should really ponder, because that's what people are going to remember. Really, really, I believe that. And that's going to take some thoughtful thing, because emotional attachment means it's repeated effortlessly. It's done over and over and over. And people finally look at it and go, that's just who he or she is. That's what they do. Interesting, right? So, what is your emotional attachment? Family, friends, your business, your clients, all those people. I think it's something you really have to come and understand. What does that look like? Then the question becomes, I'm going to tell you the story, if I can get to it. Stay. Okay. Here's something deep for you guys. So I've had lots of MAP coaches in my life. And one which I was particularly fond of, she helped me through my surgery of the brain and several other things. And she said to me before I went to surgery, she goes, when we start talking emotional attachment, she goes, Todd, I just want to paint a picture for you. And I thought to myself, oh boy, here it goes. She goes, you're a giant jigsaw puzzle. You know that, right? Nope, not to the second. She goes, here's what I want to think. What way does people build their jigsaw puzzles? And I said, well, the easy way. And I thought, I just said the easy way. She's going to get me on that. She goes, no, we all build the outside first, right? We build the borders first and then work our way in, right? I said, great. That's the way I do it. She goes, is your puzzle finished yet? I said, how do I know that? That's the point, Todd. If you've been building a jigsaw puzzle your entire life, you're probably missing 10 or 12 or 15 pieces of that jigsaw puzzle. And I just want you to know those puzzle pieces are in someone else's pocket. Your job is to go find who that has your puzzle pieces. And she goes, that's deep. But I need you to know that the only way you're going to find the best version of you is to keep hunting for those puzzle pieces, because someone has them. It doesn't mean before you leave this earth it's going to be complete. But if you give it all you got to finish the puzzle, you may be surprised at what happens. She goes, just think of the sum of your 5 people over 31 years. How often did that sum of 5 change? It changed all the time, because I grew, right? We grow to the next group. Think about all those people coming together at the end of your life, standing in a room. What are they going to say about you? Yeah, that's too big of a thing to me even think about. But what I do think about every day is I got to go find pieces of my puzzle somehow, some way. That's why when my wife says, how many people are you going to talk to? Until I find the puzzle pieces, hon, I got to keep asking. Right? So think about it from that perspective. Where is your puzzle right now? What pieces are missing from this actually being something you can do? Right? I want to tell you about this number. Does everybody know what this number means? 387? Did you know that your database is so valuable that there are companies out there that will call your database and ask every one of them, if you were to buy or sell real estate, who would you use? That's how they value your business. It's that simple. 387 people said in one of these that they would use this person over and over and over again without question. That was Mark King. Everybody knows the president of Keller Williams at one point. He sold those 387 names for $1 million in cash. Is your database important to you now? What if the database is your career reward? What if it's the one thing that you're going to sell that's going to set your retirement to where you want it to be? Would that be enough energy for you to put into it to say, I got to figure out a way to be a relationship driving person with all of my database? Because one person just sold theirs because 387 people said, I would use Mark King. $1 million went to him. It's the way I understand it. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? All I say is, how do I get to 1,000 people that say they know me? What's that worth to me? Right? That's what doctors and dentists do. They sell their books of business. The difference is they're selling different. The only thing they do for us is they say, who would you use? Something to think about, you guys. I mean, genuinely, I think that's a big deal. This is a flywheel. And I'm going to talk to you guys about the rest of this time with this. This is Amazon's flywheel. I challenge you all to go purchase the book, The Flywheel. It's 46 pages. I sent it to OPs all over the country at one point. They all shelved it. As soon as some start reading, go, did you read on page 37? That changed my life. I'm like, okay, it took you 3 years. This idea of thinking the flywheel, this is how simple Amazon made their business model, and now they're worth gazillions. I don't even know what they're worth. But that's what they did. That's their model. That is the model today, and the model they show in the book, The Flywheel. That's it. Do you guys have a flywheel? Have you ever thought about doing a flywheel? Something interesting, right? So think about it from this perspective. This is your database. This is something you're going to want a picture of. Stage one of your database is disciplined people. Are the people that are in your database disciplined enough to know that you are the person that they will use with anything and everything when it comes to business? Number one. Number two, disciplined thoughts. How are you disciplining the thoughts of the people that are in your life to where they're going to recognize the fact that if they want something in real estate, they're going to call you? Or what about the idea of disciplined action? Disciplined action is where they're going to actually pick up the phone and call you when they want something because they have an emotional attachment to you. Or how about a business that's built to last is stage four? So if you look at this, the top of this picture, it says strangers. What we do really, really well is we attract strangers. There's no other industry better than real estate that attracts people to do buys and sells and get paid $8,000 to $10,000, $12,000. It's great. I love it. I love when I make $37,000. I'm sorry, I'm just saying. But the reality is that we're really good at attracting people. The question is, how good are you at creating a prospect into somebody you can engage on a regular basis in regular conversation, doing something that they want to hear from you more than once? That's what you need to think and consider. And the only way you engage them is they become a client or a customer is they're so engaged with you, they find delight when they talk to you on the phone. Attract, engage, and delight. That simple. There's the framework for your flywheel. How am I going to do that? How am I going to attract people? Don't tell me it's find leads. You all are so talented. You can find people anywhere you want. Just go out and talk to people. And I'll tell you a story about that in a second. But if you can attract them, all of you are talented enough to engage them. If you wouldn't be that talent of engaging, you wouldn't be in this room. Once you're engaging them, how do you create the delight so much that they're not the 13%, they're the 87% they're actually going to use you? If 87% of your clients all used you every time they wanted to buy or sell, would that change your business? Heck yeah, it changed your business. Huge. The number, that is just ridiculous thoughts, right? But there's an idea behind that is this. Why does a single thought matter? Because it comes back to the idea of this. Our greatest opportunity of growth lies in the gap between where we are and where we're going, where we are and where we want to be. There's a book out there called The Gap and the Gain. Have you ever read it? It's that thick. We always talk about what we did, not what we want to do. Mm-hmm. The gap between our gain is like, I used to do that. I wish I still did more of that. The book is phenomenal. It literally is that thick. If you're not a reader, audio, whatever you want to do, but the gap between where I am and where I want to be is simply my database, right? My database is the only thing that I have built that can constantly feed me all the time. But how do I get them to do it, right? So the idea is this. A single thought starts with a single cue. And what I want you to understand is I'm going to teach you cue on how you can develop your business. When you think about it from the standpoint, how important are your words, your behavior, your habits, your values to your business? One of the things when I ran my business, every single agent got my standards and my values. And I said, that's what I live by. That's what I do every day. And you have anytime you want to hold me accountable to it, just do it. That's how certain I was that it was going to be that way for me. The way I became the Q was going, if that's my standards and values, it led everything and decided everything in my business for me. What I would or would not do, number one. And then the standard was we were always going to build something we could find an outcome on. If I'm working with Jamie, I don't know if we have a Jamie in the room, but if we do, great. Jamie, in our relationship, this is not a relationship where I'm going to build a partnership. We're going to create standards and we're going to create ideas that's going to grow your business. Because I know if your business grows, my business would grow as well, right? So this is the cue. Something very important to understand. Habit loop. Let me see here. Who am I going to pick on? Pick on you, since you just came in. Question. Do you know what leg you put your pants on each day?
Right.
But you had to think about it.
Yeah.
You know why? Because you do it so often you don't think. Right? We get in the car and drive. We don't think about driving. We get in the car and think about other things. Right? We drive. Have you ever been in the car and driven and go, did I stop at that light? Oh yeah. Which one did I just take home? What happened here? How many times I've driven past my office? I'm thinking, what the heck am I doing? That matters. How many times do you wake up at night thinking? Has everybody done that? Because people leave a little coffee next to their bed. If I do that, I'm up with this. Okay, but here's a thought. The cue is a thought. If your brain is triggering a cue for you, it's telling you something that's important to you. I want you to think about that. If a cue is something that's happening in your brain, a cue is nothing more than saying, that thing is going over and over and over, and I can't get my mind off of it, right? It's like you hear a song and you sing that stupid song for 5 days because it's in your brain. I don't know why, but it's there. My question is this. Does everybody in this room want to convert 87% of their clients into new business? Okay, good. How many would say, if I could just get 30% of my database to give me referrals every year, would you be happy with that? Don't lie. Yes, I would, right? If that's the case, and I would agree, everybody has that thought to be true, correct? Okay. The craving is, do I crave it badly enough to where I'm going to create a response? You know what a response is? It's a system. If I so desperately have the craving to convert 30% of my business, what kind of a system am I going to build that's going to give me the reward? A deeper relationship, bills paid, all the things that go with it. This is very simple. Everybody goes from a cue to a response. You know why? Have you ever heard the saying, everybody wants the shiny new toy? The book says no one wants to focus on the old, everybody wants the new. But if you think about it, we're humans. Yes. My thought is I want 30% of the database and I want it now. How do I do it? But the reality is, if you're going to cue it, you've got to come up with a craving that is so genuine that you want to build a response or a system to make it work. And if you do that, your reward is going to be deeper relationships. It's going to be monetary. It's going to be all the things that you could ever want in our businesses. Hands down. That is the purpose of understanding your habits. Why do people say that they want to start working out? Right? Well, they want to get healthy. Great. Why don't they always go to the gym? Why do all these places like Lifetime Fitness, everybody make gazillions of dollars? Because they take your money every month and you don't go. Right? So I crave, listen, January, I'm going to be like Hulk Hogan. I'm going to be in shape. I'm going to do all this. Yeah, nah, I'm busy. I'm not going to go. It looks nice when I drive by it. I should go in and get a milkshake sometime. That's what it's like, right? But what is in your life right now? Think about that you thought of, you had a craving for it, you created a system for it, and now you're being rewarded for it. That's what you should be thinking about right now. Thought of it. How many people say they want to lose weight? You don't have to raise your hand. I'm just going to say. We all say it. So I lost 56 pounds in the last year. No drugs, no shots, no nothing. All I did was take everything I ate, cut it in half, and I ate fruits. That's it. It came off like no tomorrow. And everybody goes, what'd you do? Ate right? That's what somebody just told me. I was at a point where I wanted to, but I kept saying my response was, you know what? I'm going to jog today and I'll think about it next week if I get back to it. I didn't have to exercise to lose the weight. I had to eat right. I did it, and I finally had a friend of mine say, well, it's kind of simple, just eat differently. Oh, that's it? I can do that, I think. Right? The bag of Cheetos looks pretty, yeah, I like the Cheetos. Potato chips, whatever. What have you done in your life that has allowed you to go from a thought to an idea to a system to find the reward for it? Can anybody have anything off the top of their head? If you don't, that's okay. Because we don't often think of the great things that we do by going through that process. Usually we're always thinking about the failures and the negativity of like, I keep saying I want to do that, I just never do it. That's what everybody says when they go to gym. I come out with all the great intentions in January, February, but it got nice outside and I just don't do it anymore. Right?
I did recently, instead of, individually messaging clients about their bill. I got a system that can do it for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was, market analysis report set up client and when they buy, is it every 2 weeks? Is it every, have they been in 6 or 7 years? It's kind of every 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
Is it monthly? Is it quarterly because they just purchased, so, implementing that.
And are you like driving that like that? I have to have this done.
And I completed it, yes.
Good. So how does that feel that you did it? Yeah, you're like, get that off my back. I can walk a little bit better, right? It's
for me, it's not.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's like everybody talks about hiring an assistant, but they never do because it's going to make, I got to pay that. Have you ever thought about by hiring an assistant, you're actually going to make more? Right? When I talked to these three back there, I said, your greatest success in life is when you put this on the desk and say, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Is your systems and your models in your team good enough that you don't even have to think about it? Because my greatest failure, honestly, my kids were like as tall as this table. We're sitting at Disney World. They spent 6 hours in the parking lot talking to agents. That was the father of the year moment for me. And that changed. That's why I built the team through this book and said, I'm not doing that ever again. Because what they're going to remember is always a joke now because I changed. Remember when Dad, I said, how do you remember that? You were like that tall. It's because Mom keeps reminding me. But there's the reality. So here's what I show you. This is very, very interesting. So here's this. The reason we can't do it is the question we haven't answered. And that's the question I'm going to show you. So I'm just going to say I am really terrible at art. I give this a whirl, okay? On a wall of all places. Okay, this is where we always want to be, right? Here's my question. How many times have you set up your business plan? And you start up your business plan by saying, I want to do $12 million in business this year. Just say, we all do that, right? This is how much I want to produce. This is what I want to do. This is how many closings I want to do. This is how many buy sides and sell sides. This is how many loans I want to do. This is how many refinances. That's the way we think because we're programmed that way. Interestingly. So this is our goals. Okay? Everybody with me? This outer circle, right? Now look at the next one. Process. How many times, besides you, how long did you have that idea in your brain that I want to do that? She answered the question. Think about that for 1 second. So when you did, you're like, why did I wait 20 years to do that? All right? The process here is irrelevant. Remember earlier I talked about identity? So if I did this little thing right now, don't get nervous, I'm not going to do it. I put 10 of you up here and said, why should I work with you? Are you programmed to talk stats or are you programmed to talk about something different? So here's a story. 2000 had to be 15 or 16. I was doing a database class for a region. A lot of people in the room. I don't even remember how many. And I'm talking about building opportunities in your database and 36 touch and all that kind of stuff. And someone in the back in the corner by where Evan's at back there was crying. So there's a moment when you're up front, you're going, okay, either I address it or I just pretend she's not crying, even though everybody's looking at her. So I go, okay, we'll just use Jane. Jane, we're going to stop here. Why are you having an emotional reaction to what we're talking about? It'd be okay just to share this because most everybody's probably having the same feeling. She goes, Todd, every time I set my goals, I'm telling myself I have to make this many calls to people. And I don't know why I'm calling them. Thus far, I'm not doing something I enjoy. Therefore, I don't want to build a business. And quite frankly, I'm almost done with this. Like, okay, that opened Pandora's box, right? And I said, Kim, so you're under the understanding, you're telling me that you have to touch your database 36 times and you don't want to do it. Yes or no? No. Good, because I don't like doing it either, just so you know. Let's talk about how we overcome that. Kim, tell me the things you love in your life, please. That you do, not you and your husband, that you do. I love my friends. Good. I love bunco. Did not know what bunco was back then. I know now. I love wine parties. I love charcuterie. I love my book club. I'm like, how many groups are you in? She's like in 12 groups. Love your 12 groups. And I said, so what's the problem? She goes, I'm not sure I understand the question. I said, I'm getting you to ask me a question. And I'm going to tell you you're wrong yet. I said, let me ask you a question. If we changed your ideas of building a business and said, let's do all the things that your identity loves. And if I love that and I do it, so what would you do with those people that would be fun to you? I would love to just do events with them. I always go to their events, but they don't come to mine. Do you do events? No. Well, what if you did an event every single month? That'd be expensive. Maybe not. What do you value expensive? She goes, are those the people you love hanging out with? Yes. Are they doing business with you? No. Why? She had this moment of like, she started smiling. She goes, I get it. I'm not catering to who I am as a person. I'm getting catered to what everybody's telling me I should be. So that's right. So how in the world do you build a business focused on outcome when you're not doing things that are already resonating with your identity? Do the things you're passionate about. And if you create passion, that means we've created a cue with a response that was deep enough. We're going to have a craving to do something with it. She's done an event now every single month for the last 10 years. And they're not big. She has a wine tasting. She does, hey, come to hit golf balls and get golf lessons, whatever. Every year, she's a mega producer. She does serious business. She said to me long ago for dinner, when I was flying to Chicago at dinner, she goes, you made my life so much better because you let me think about the way I want to do things versus the way everybody tells me I have to do it. I said, you cater to what your likes and dislikes are. You cater to who you are as a human, not to what the book says. Because this book right now is telling me that I need to make 7,373 calls by Friday. I don't do that. But if you say, Todd, go meet everybody in town, I can do that in a second. So the reality to this, to overcome it, is if you want an outcome, base your outcome on who you are as a human being, not by what everyone else wants you to be. And if you start doing that, you will start seeing business change for you so doggone rapidly, I can't even tell you. It starts with you and your heart. The heart will develop the process that will create the outcome. And what's really funny is the people that do that, they never even think about the outcome because they're having so much fun doing what they love to do. The outcome just happens. Does everybody get me on that? That is such a better way to do business because now you have passion in it, right? Isn't that cool? So let's talk about something. Here's I'm going to go into data dump. How good is your database? I want you to ask yourself that question. Do you know the birthdays of your clients? Do they have them in their database? Don't answer, because I'm not picking anybody. Think about it. How simple could something be to say, hey, I know the birthday of every single person in my database? Because you know why it's easy now? You just go to Facebook or Instagram and find it, right? I think you can do that, right? Okay. So here's what I want to ask you about. The median age of a buyer, first-time home buyer, is now 40 years old, you guys. 40 years old. This is going to be purposeful if you want to take pictures. A repeat home buyer now for the second home is 62. People buying at 62? I thought they owned their homes by then. Interesting. Home sellers are average selling at 64 years old, but yet the repeat buyer is 62. Let me ask a question. I just gave you birth dates. If you had the birth date of every person in your database and you sort it by birthday, wouldn't that tell you who you should be calling every day? That'd be easy, wouldn't it? Okay, let's continue. Home tenure, we already told you this. Agent recommendation, I already told you this. So let's go to this. First-time home buyers constitute 24% of purchase last year, the lowest ever in history. Interesting. Down from 32% the previous year. Here's what's amazing, guys. This is where you have to pay attention. Ages 35 to 59, 41% of buyers. Age 60 and above were the number one buyer group in the country last year. Who would have ever guessed that? Who's calling the people over 62 in your database right now? Good. The reality is, I'm giving you data that can be sorted by age. All you have to do is take pictures and sort by age, and now all of a sudden, now, oh, geez, I have 12 people today that are turning 60 to 62 this month. I should call on them, are they thinking about buying or selling it? Because statistically, NAR is telling they will. Statistically, we know nearly 50% of people at 68, age 60 to 78 are buying another home. I never thought that was real. Think about that for 1 second. Has our world changed in the last 12 years or what? First-time home buyers are people now at age 40. 40. Guess what? It'll even be higher next year. That's why we're doing 3 houses now versus 7. You know what? Your commissions just were diminished in a very, very big way, unless you have the opportunity to refinance all your people. Look at this. 74% of buyers finance their homes. 74. Wait a second. I thought everybody had like $4 trillion in equity in all their houses right now. But they're all taking mortgages still? Well, let's talk about that. 96% are doing this. Here's what I want you to look at. This is most mind-boggling. 49% of people age 70 to 78 and 41% age 79 plus are still taking out mortgages. They're still taking out mortgages. Oh, that must mean they're still buying. Look at this. 95, 95, 85, 60. There's not a load of money out there, everybody. There's just not. They're all buying. Guess what? I just gave you the birthdays. If you know the birthdays, you know exactly who to call every day because they just match up to the statistics. If you know statistics, you have your birthdays, you own the database. Because now you're making what? Your calls become focused, right? Make sense? Anybody have questions on that? Everybody's so quiet. I'm a little nervous about that. Okay. By now, here's the interesting thing, okay? Buyers now are moving an average of 35 miles from their current home compared to less than 20 miles in the past. The reason people surveyed were only moving 20 miles because they wanted to stay within a legitimate distance from family. Now we're out 35 miles. So 35 miles would be like in Chicago going from the lake clear out to DeKalb, which is a long way out, okay? Open house attendance has increased, indicating the shift in purchasing behavior. Online search nearly double the number of home buyers found their homes online rather than through an agent. Well, that ticks me off. What's happening in our world right now? Consolidation, right? Think about all these companies that are being bought out by Quicken. And Quicken says, listen, if you're going to use your agent and you want leads from us and from Quicken, you have to do all your mortgage, title, and insurance through us. I know none of you are loving that. I'm not loving it, period. Right? Interesting. Population growth, influx of people moving of these counties, work lifestyle reasons, limited new construction. Obviously, we know that. Seasonal demand, right? All those things, when you start looking at them, is very interesting. Because when you start looking at why people are moving, there's purpose behind it. People say, well, no one's moving because of interest rates. That's a lie. It's not true at all. People are buying and selling. And we start seeing interest rates in the fives, which we're that close to, and now that we're in some sort of war right now, and this is not a political statement, people are going to flight to safety. All those big hedge funds and all those mortgage companies, or not mortgage, mutual companies, whatever, I don't know, American funds, any of them, they're all going to treasuries. That means that interest rates are going to start dropping. They are going to drop. And I'm going to say, right now, the average interest rate today was 6.13. That's Fannie and Freddie. I need you to know that 42% of those interest rates are factored with 42% of the public paying points. So the interest rate is skewed a little bit.
Skewed lower than actual, because if they're paying points and it's 6.1, it's actually 6.4.
It could be, yeah. Because so all the phone calls are coming from call centers, right? Chase, Bank of America, whoever. Yeah, they should all be coming to you. Why aren't they? How about this? Home sales are their lowest levels in 3 decades. Somebody said to me, and the reason I put this up here, it's asked me all the time, no matter where I go, when is affordability coming back? Just so you know, affordability has been an issue since before the Great Depression, dating clear back to the 1890s. There's always been hierarchy in our culture, in our world. But let me just give you a reason why affordability is not coming back. Good picture. Let's get it back. In 2019, the typical mortgage payment was 21% of the household income. Now it's 30. Is that going to get less? Not unless our income goes up 5 times over what we're growing right now. It's not. Okay. So mortgage rates getting us back to 2019 normal. That's what everybody goes, I want to go to normal in 2019. Okay, let's do that. That means the interest rates have to drop from 6.15 to 2.65. Does anybody believe that's going to happen? You better say no. Okay, no. Income's going to rise 56% this year, and home prices have to fall 35%. Does anybody in their wildest imagination think that's happening this year? Does anybody think it'll ever happen? No. If that happens, we're all out of business. You can take 2005 times 1,000. That's what that would look like. It's improbable, impossible. The likelihood of that happening.
It would take a new view.
What?
It would take a new view.
Yeah. It would change a lot of things very quickly, wouldn't it?
Add to that. It's a conversation I have more often lately, right? Because people talking about affordability. And so one thing I add to that conversation is, in a balanced market in our area, in this county, in a balanced market that we haven't been in since 2020.
Yeah.
Your value is increasing on average 3, maybe 5%.
Correct.
In a balanced market, which we are not in.
Not even close.
Not going anywhere.
Right.
We're not here like we were, right? But no. Real estate is a sound investment, and it's very unlikely. And oh wait, it's not going to happen again because there are so many restrictions in place, right?
Correct.
So good luck with that mentality of thinking prices are going to change or go down.
Right. Guess what, everybody? Property's on sale right now. It is. And they all need to know that because we aren't going down, we're going up. Midwest is the strength of our country when it comes to real estate. The Midwest, when you look at the Midwest, the central part of Illinois is one of the strongest in the country. When you talk about per transactions per agent, mind blowing compared to where it is everywhere else. Just mind blowing. This is fun to come down and talk to y'all because you're like in a place where not everybody wishes they were. Really. But you're 100% right on this, is that people go, oh, geez, in Florida, everything's going to plummet. Nope. The statistics you're seeing in Florida are condos, not single families or coach houses. Because all those new laws are going into effect. for HOAs on how much they have to be insured because of the collapse down in Miami. Just so you know, that's going to be national soon. The good news for you is how many condos do you have in Central Illinois? Not a lot. Oh, good. There's only 13,000 HOAs in Chicago. If you're looking for a good place on the lake, just give it 10 years, okay? That's what's going to happen. So here we are. How do we compound business momentum? We have to discipline our people. We have to discipline our thoughts, discipline our actions, and then we build a business to actually that can function. So I want to show you my flywheel. This is the flywheel that I built my business on, and the flywheel that had generated so much revenue for me, it was insanity. And so let's talk about it for a moment, okay? If you see in the first box, it says your database, right? Clients, partnerships, and business owners. Oh, wait 1 second. I just want to say this to you because I just brought it up and no one even looked at me. Business owners. I'm telling you right now, the business owner, if you own them, you own the world. They, on an average person, knows 411 people. The average business owner knows over 2,500. Story. You guys okay with my stories? Okay. Had a guy, a longtime friend who's passed away, but it was a cold day, middle winter, like 15 below zero. And he goes, he was struggling. He was a $50 million producer, and he goes, I'm struggling. What do you want to be? So we go through this whole exercise. I said, how well do you know your community? He goes, why would I want to do that? I said, what do you mean? He goes, all the buyers know it. But I said, what about the business owners? He goes, no. I said, I got his jacket, his keys. I said, let's go. We're going to go visit some people. He goes, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. He goes, no, I'm not. So I took his keys, I took his jacket, and I said, you're coming or I'm taking this home and you're walking home. So he came out. And I said, I'm going to go into one business. I'm going to show you how to do this. And then in the next 3 months, I want you to know every single business owner in the area. Because that's never going to happen. So I walk into this wine bar and I said, listen, my name's Todd Gosden. This is my partner, Jeff. By the way, we're stopping in because we just see your business all the time. As a business owner in the community, I would love to know how I can support your business and help your business grow. Because as business owners, if we help one another, we're both going to thrive. Wouldn't you agree? She goes, what? I repeated. She goes, yeah, but no one's ever said that to me before. Everybody comes in here is asking me for a discount coupon to buy something for a charity. Are you saying that we should partner? I'm saying is we should get to know each other, because how do we know where we can go if we don't start? And she goes, that's a great idea. Let's talk about it. Let's sit down and have a glass of my wine and we'll talk about it. So we had that conversation. I walked out and I said, see, let's go to the next door. He goes, shut up. I got it from here. Because he was emotionally attached to the outcome and didn't want to feel comfortable. If you know the business owners, which I'm going to tell you in a moment how that works, you will own everything. Follow up and attract. I call it Life of a Lead. It's follow up a system that's built for relationships and growth of emotional attachment. Are you doing that right now in your business? That's part of my flywheel. Second, the engagement. How am I engaging them consistently and purposely each and every time I call them? How are you doing that? Are you doing that? Every single phone call I've had with every single person for as long as I can remember, read this box. The only reason I can create delight is every time I talk to somebody, is there anyone, I always say, I need to ask you a couple questions for the end of the conversation. They go, what? Yeah, go ahead. There they are, guys. Is there anything I can do for you today? And if not, is there someone I may introduce you to that may help you solve a problem around the house or in your life? There's just like this dead silence. No, but no one's ever asked me that. But you know what? My repetition of that is dead on every single time. Somebody called me not long ago and said, hey, you haven't called me with the 2 questions lately. I need you. Interesting, right? By doing this, I created the opportunity of being an influencer in their brains. But the reality of the influencer is your clients are the influencer, not us, because they dictate when we do business with them, right? The reality is I created influencers by asking two questions, and those two questions led to the idea that I was always top of mind, and I was always in the opportunity to where I was going to do business with them. So these are all true stories now. I've done that for more than 12, 13, 14 years. Everybody knows the questions. And some will even say, listen, you don't have to ask me, I already know the question. I'm going to ask them anyway. You ready? And I say it to them. And they go, not right now, but I'll let you know. But no, if you say that each and every time you call them, what do you become for them? The concierge. Do you know how many times I've gotten called from men saying, Todd, I need you. I dropped the ball. I said, on what holiday?
Mhm.
It wasn't long ago, a guy called me and goes, I need a reservation. I blew it on the anniversary. I need to figure that out. I said, I'll only do it if you tell her that you did it. He said, sure. You know what? I knew every single restaurant within 6 miles. I called the steakhouse, Gibson Steakhouse. If y'all know that in Chicago, on top of steakhouse, and said, I need Matt, please. Sure. Who's talking? Just tell him it's Todd. He comes right, Matt, because when you need Todd, I said any reservation. He dropped a bomb on his wife's anniversary. He goes, just tell him to come 7 and ask for me. No problem. You know what that's like to call your client bank, say reservations at 7 o'clock? Do you think that guy is not going to think about me? And then he had to tell his wife that I screwed it up and Todd made the reservation for us? Or think about that wedding or that party that they have after the kids graduate and they need somebody to use. You guys are so familiar. Yes, I got somebody to lay the carpet, I got somebody to paint, I got somebody. What about everything else in your life? What if they came to you for everything? Everybody says to me, well, what if you don't know everybody, Todd? I said, that's the greatest thing ever because now I get to go find somebody and say, hey, who do you know that does? Great. You know the manager over there? Great. Now I'm going to go talk to that manager, build a relationship, see how I'm going to refer in business. And the next thing I know, my laundry list is 16 miles long of all these business owners that know me besides my database, and who is their business going to? Me. Anytime they want something, they call me. I had the greatest life when I was producing. All I talked about was reservations, where they could go, who I could meet. And if I didn't know, I'd build another relationship so I could introduce them. It's a giant web. You're building a web that everybody gets stuck in every single day. They just don't know who to call except searching the internet. Searching the internet, everybody has 7,000 stars. I don't know how that happens. But the reality is, if they were calling one of you and your flywheel method of building your business was your database and your community knew that you were the all willing and wanting to help them grow their businesses or solve problems, wouldn't they do that with you? They did it with me. They did it with me. They do it at any of you. I just asked the two questions every time I called them. So the question is, if you called them, what questions would you ask them that would create something that they'd want to call you back? And if I'm calling my clients on a quarterly basis, I'm always asking the two questions. I don't care whether they do business with me or not. But if I get them engaged with someone else and all of a sudden that business owner said, geez, you're always sending me business. And then that business owner starts sending me his business. How does that change things for you? So me doing 316 million in production was nothing more than me asking two questions, everybody, consistently every single time. That's all it was. Consistency wins. And I wasn't uncomfortable with it because I wasn't saying anything to be uncomfortable. But you know what? How many resumes I get and how many people say, hey, can you do this? Or you just got a call 2 weeks ago from somebody I'm trying to recruit in Chicagoland, this incredible young woman that's a great producer. And she goes, I'm taking my daughter to University of Iowa. Do you know somebody what we should do when we go over and visit? I sent her a list that long of all the restaurants she should go to, the things she should see, and all the things. She's like, how do you know all this? I got people that know all this. She was thrilled. That changed the narrative of our conversation because I helped her do something she couldn't do for her own kid because she didn't know what to do. And she goes, I can't wait to get back and talk to you. I didn't do it because I was looking for that. I did it because she asked me a question. And I gave her the answer, not just a sentence. I said, let me get you and I'll email or text you with everything you got to do. She came back and she goes, that was the best trip ever. She's going to Iowa. How awesome is that? That gives me a goosebump still thinking that they had that energy to be able to go there, enjoy that experience, and they chose to do it. And I didn't have any part of it other than sending them, here's the places you go. Did I know where to go to University? No, I called two kids that went to University of Iowa and graduated law school and said, where should they go? They gave me all the places. I organized it and sent it out to them. They had the best time ever. How are you creating the same narrative with your people by doing a life of a lead? The life of a lead is what conquers our businesses every day. That's what keeps us in business. If you know all the local businesses and you know your clients and you're asking them the questions, they are going to come to you with business. And you don't even have to try. It's fun. People say, so I'm the guy, when I send a postcard to my clients, I didn't send anything with my picture on it. I'd send a blue postcard with a big yellow happy face on it and send it to them. And they call and I go, did you send me a happy face? I did. Did it make you laugh? She goes, I wonder what the hell you were doing. I said, I just made you laugh. That's all I cared about. Have a great day. I didn't have to sell her anything. I just made her happy. It's just the way you think and do. That's all there is to it. Anybody have any thoughts? It's like, Todd's crazy. I know that already. You guys are so quiet.
I think another key to this too is I've drawn like a figure eight and laid it sideways.
Yeah.
And well, actually, and knowing that the only time they need a realtor is at that time. But how are we talking to them at all
the circle.
other time?
Yep.
Circle and this is helpful to give reasons to talk to people and things to talk to people about.
That's right.
So that it feels more natural as we're coming into that intersection point rather than going, oh, now you need me? You know, it's just more natural.
Yeah. I mean, every restaurant I go into, I talk to the owner or the manager and say, listen, I want to do everything I can to send you business. I really enjoyed my experience here, blah, 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 blah. May I have your card? And here's what I'd love to do. I may call you once in a while because somebody's desperate to get in someplace for a reservation, but I am going to push business your way. Would you be okay doing that? Great. That means I'm going to connect with you every single month to see how your life and your business is going. Is that okay with you? Yes. Like, again, you don't want a certificate or something? I mean, they don't want anything. They just want to know that they're more than just a gift card. And it changes everything. That's the easiest conversation walking into any restaurant. The greatest thing you can say to any business owner is, how do I help your business grow? Because I'm a business owner too, and I'm always looking for ways that maybe I can learn from you. What are you doing that creates business in your business? How do you sell 6,000 pizzas a week? Just help me understand that. Is it your recipe? Is it you? Is it your marketing? What is it? He goes, people just love my pizza. Great. Let's have a contest. Put a sticky note on every pizza box for the first month. I said, anybody does this receives pizza for a month free on me. And if you need help buying or selling, let me know. I'll introduce you to an amazing agent. It didn't come back to me because I didn't want him to think it was coming back to me. You know how many freaking people called me for a pizza? It was crazy. I had to get somebody to do it for me. But it was just something simple like that to do that. It doesn't have to be a huge business. It just has to be local people. They need to know who they love and who they want to do business with. This is how we do it. Your identity is in this flywheel somewhere because everyone fits into it. It's just a matter of how you do it. So think about this for just 1 second. This whole thing is about database. What if you had the opportunity to pass an app and refinance your database on your own? What if your refinances of your database was 5 to 10 times what your regular business is? How would that change your business model? Because you wouldn't have to do anything. All you have to do is pass an app to somebody and Josh or Jackie or Evan would take care of it. The reality is you don't have to give up your lender. You have to create an opportunity for you to be successful with your business by having somebody else doing your refinances, if that's in fact the case. I'm not here to sell you, and I'm here to show you guys database is the most important thing in our business. We can do whatever we want to do in our business. We are all self-employed people, basically. The reality to this is, how can I get you guys doing $300 million in database money? Because it's the easiest. And it took me a long time to really come to discovery that they loved me once, they're going to love me again. I just need to be frequent calling them and doing something for them that no one else is. And that's being their concierge to their needs. You can do the same. So the opportunity of this is growth. And if you don't want to grow, that's fine. If you do, that's fine. But the opportunity is you can be whatever you want in this business. Just think differently. That's what I had to do. It was a moment in time where I just said, I'm an idiot. I'm doing this the wrong way. Hey, do you know when somebody wants to buy your stuff? Because I did the same thing. I did the gold 7,000 times. I did all that stuff because I copied everything in this book. And I thought, I'm just way overthinking this. I'm this lady sitting in the back in the corner going, I'm whimpering, going, it's not working the way I wanted to because I'm not building depth enough in the relationship with where there was an emotional attachment to me. My emotional attachment was the 2 questions. My emotional attachment was helping business owners grow. That way I had the opportunity in times when things were slow, when rates were going down, I could always refinance them or be there for them to do it. Think about that. Just as, yeah,
So are you saying, so you've been a realtor and a lender?
I've lived in the realtor world for 31. I was going to do that in the beginning and I thought I didn't because I could make more money doing what I'm doing now. That's how I made the decision.
Right.
I took both tests at the same time, passed it all, then I had to think about what am I going to do. And after thoughtful consideration, I went this route because I thought if I could do the buys and sells, which are hard, I have to go find the people. But if I could also do the refinances, that'd be great. Because in the 1990s, it's never been illegal for an agent to be both licensed as mortgage and licensed as real estate. You just couldn't do it with FHA and VA. But no one ever did it. I always remember the guy sitting to me in downtown ever going, guess what I just did? I'm like, that's stupid. I don't know why you did that. How are you monetizing this?
What was stupid?
It was stupid that they got their license because they thought they were going to write their own loans and also write their own contracts. So people, I say, Todd, isn't that a conflict of interest? Well, if you're selling your own house and financing your own house, that'd probably be a considerable conflict of interest. But if you're passing an app, so in my business, I had a big team, very big team. I had 11, 12 people on my team. All I did was you would ask questions. Here's my app. Just send it to them. They did all the work and I kept socializing with her. It's the same model. If she is somebody who wants to do this, and she goes, all I have to do is pass an app, but I don't have to do anything else. No, you don't have to do anything else. You get the appraisal in real time, you get everything in real time, but it's your relationship. All I'm doing is adopting it to you. Think about my bit database. I told you 4,500 transactions, buy sides. Every single one of those referrals was tied to an agent in Keller Williams. And every one of those people never monetized from it. So when I had the aha moment and decided I'm not going to do my team anymore, I'm going to create this opportunity for agents because I thought it was valuable. The value is if all I have to do is pass an app and I have a team behind me doing all the work, then I'll pass the app out to everybody on earth. What do I care? You all know Caleb Davis? Ever heard of the name down in Edwardsville? Caleb Davis was a pretty good producer. He's a young guy, 33, 34. I first met him and I said, tell me about your business. He goes, I have 52 investment properties. I said, wait, what? How old are you? Like 33, 34. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, how many transactions do you do a year? About 100. Then earthquake. Oh, the airport. So I called him one night at like 8:45 at night. He has a newborn. He's sitting there and I said, hey, I need to talk to you. He goes, at 8:45? Yes. He goes, don't you go to bed now? I said, normally, but I got a question for you. I said, how much are you worth per hour? He goes, that's why you're calling me? I said, I can't believe you don't know that. You have 52 investment properties to 100 transactions. You know how much you're worth per hour? How do you know your business is the right size? And he's like, okay, enough. I'll get back to you. So he did this program. And he came to the conclusion, he goes, he was on the growth call and he talked about it at I think last year at Mega Camp. He said, I answered Todd's question by saying, I make like $1,000 or $1,100 per hour and I don't even know that I'm getting paid it. He goes, how does that work? I said, you're licensed, aren't you? Yeah. You're employed by me, aren't you? Yeah. Then enjoy it. He did 47 purchases on this last year, I think is the number. And I said, your goal is to have 100 refinances this year. I said, he goes, I don't get this. I said, what don't you get? You're licensed, you're employed. It's like me being licensed as real estate. I can't capitalize on real estate unless I'm licensed in real estate. It's the same thing in my world, Caleb. And I said, here's what I want you to do is I want you to go pass out your app to everybody in the history of the world. I don't care what state they live in. I don't care where they are, where your friends are. Pass it to everybody. Put it on a bus if you want to. I don't care. He goes, why? Just, I said, listen to me. He did it, comes back 2 weeks. Story's very close. A month later, he goes, I got like 32 pre-approvals. What the hell do I do with all this? Do the business? I don't understand the question. Do you want it or don't want it? He goes, I don't know how that works. I said, it works because you have a name. You're already a name within the community. And if you put it out there and people are looking to buy or sell, they're going to use your app because you are the influencer. Even though they're technically the influencer, they're trusting you because you're the image of that community, because you've done a great job with the businesses. You've done a great job in your database. He goes, I've never done a refinance. I said, you don't have to. Pass him the app and let Kent do it. And that's all he does. No different than I did. I did 4,500 transactions, not because I was writing every loan, because I had a team that was doing it behind me, not because I was doing it. Make sense? So the reality to this, and the big portion of this, is database. How can you monetize it? You can monetize it by at some point getting the refinance opportunities, and all of a sudden things change. They really, really do. Whether you do or don't, it doesn't matter to me. It's an opportunity. But the opportunity here is, most important is your life of a lead? What's your flywheel going to look like, and how are you going to monetize that wheel? Not to get as big as Amazon, but get to the biggest point that you want to be, where you're comfortable. Because I don't want any of you to ever feel uncertainty. I want you to choose what you do every day, not to feel like you have to every day. It's like, I don't have to pick this up every second. Even though I get back to everybody every day, I can set it down and I can actually have a conversation with all of you versus being in there for 3 hours on the phone. Are you ready to do that? Yes.
The big takeaway that, if we have the ability to go to family reunion, the big takeaway that I took from Caleb too is he gives 3 names. He gives 3 names. One is his app, and then 2 others. The ability to be competitive, being one of the names, come back to us, have that program, have the best rate. He just oversold himself too, because then it's so great, because he's like, you can go check everybody else out, and it builds so much more trust, being the best option out of it.
That's right. When I ran my business, all the teams I worked with said, Todd's our guy, but if that personality doesn't fit, here's 2 others. It's no problem to me whatsoever. I was always glad about that. Good.
It's one thing that I've been struggling with on it is, clear and okay with the refis. But where I'm a little gray area right now is acting as their agent during the purchase process and offering them the financing services as well at the same time. So I'm just a little, what are you gray about? Ethically, I guess. Yeah, I guess just needing more conversation.
Yeah, I think it's like this, is, believe it or not, every person has that trepidation, conflict of interest or whatever, but it simply says, hey, listen, I want to be the center of your transaction for everything. And if I can introduce you to your attorney and blah, 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 do all these things. Also, just so you know, I can assist you with the mortgage. I can help you get connected to the right people. You can do it. I'll give you a name. I really like working with them. If not, I'll give you 2 other names to go with that. But the reality is, I am licensed to be able to do the mortgage. What's interesting, 2 weeks ago, a survey came out, like 69,837 people, I think it was. 70.7% said they're only going to choose an agent that creates ancillaries that go along with them. So the reality is sometimes, honestly, is we just get stuck in our own head saying, is this a conflict of interest? It's not, because you can say I'm licensed also to do this. And it's never been more relevant, right? And that's the idea of this, is that I did this simply because we spent millions and millions of dollars in 3 companies outside our company talking to RESPA and HUD to make sure this was right, because I can't do something where I'm not protecting the agent. The reason we hire every single person is to make sure if there's any lawsuits, they're going right to our company, not to us. They're going right to Mutual. And that's the way it is. But the fact is, we have the document signed by RESPA. That's the way to do it. And the conflict of interest is more of just an idea. You have to get beyond it, just saying it's not a conflict of interest. What you're going to really find, and what I have found coast to coast and talking to agents all the time, is that I had a fear of it. Now I'm like excited about it because they're actually buying into it. So a story was, I was teaching in Elk River, Minnesota, just northeast of Minnesota, I believe it is. And I was teaching this class and I get a text from somebody and I had to look at it because I thought it was Elise and it was Elise. She was an agent down in Chicago. And I said, all I want you to do is, I told her the day before, I said, all I want you to do is spend 90 minutes calling your clients, letting them know that you're also licensed in mortgage and you can help them with the refinances. Her response was, Todd, I just called for 90 minutes. I talked to 17 people. I got 14 people I want to refinance. What do I do? This is actually kind of fun, I think. I said, what's the think part? But that's what she said to me. And I read it to everybody. And I said, 90 minutes, she made $24,347. Just like that. And it wasn't, she was the most trepidatious person I could ever have met. And we had to script so much together and I had to work with her on it. And finally she said it. And it was like, she went from that idea of being uncomfortable to being, I'm just going to say it. They're not going to say anything bad about me. They may just say I have another lender. But there's a choice. They chose you to do what most important part of this is buy, sell. If they're choosing you for that, why wouldn't they choose you for the opportunity to help them with the refinances? You don't have to say I'm a profit boast, but I am licensed and I have a team behind me that can take care of that for you. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask you. So what you said, Michelle, that script, like started way earlier as far as us, the tech, connecting them with the attorney and the inspectors and all of that. If you could just simply script that for us, I think that's.
Okay.
I
I would love to script that with you. That's my jam. So yes, I can do that. So if I want to make sure I understand is you're talking about how you can have a conversation involving ancillaries, right? Well, I think what I did kind of already was I said, listen, you've known me as a real estate agent. I'm also licensed in mortgage, and I also have the opportunity to refer you to title and insurance. Being the center of the transaction, helping you with your buy and sells, I have one important thing is to create as much ease for you in the process. I know statistically, people get very nervous having to go find all those things to close that home. I want to do it for you as a part of what I do to help you by selling your homes. That's it. Because believe it or not, the trepidation of most clients, statistically, I don't want to go find a mortgage person. I don't want to go find an attorney. I don't want to go find insurance because I feel like it sucks my life away from me for 2 weeks to do all that. You are so the center of the transaction. It's never been this way more. And it's never going to be this way more into the future than now. I will tell you this. Let's just talk real. I talked to, everybody heard of Fidelity? Okay. They do title, just in case y'all didn't know that. I had lunch with them 2 weeks ago down in Naples, thereabouts. I said, I wanted to know how fast I can get title in the next 2 years. Because we'll be able to get a clear title for you 2 hours. That mean done? Done. Can an agent order that online and do it themselves? Pretty soon, yes. Okay. Great. I will tell you within the next 3 to 5 years, you'll be able to unlock every contract on 15 days or less. Not to say that the seller's going to get out in 15 days. But think about that. That's how fast it will go. Your fingertips will be on the title. Gone, back, done. Insurance will be the same. Mortgage will be the same. In this program, you get the appraisal the same time the lender does because you're licensed in real time. You see the process in real time. You're no longer looking for somebody, not saying that you have to do 2 jobs because I believe it can't be a profit 2 lands by any stretch of the imagination. But to visibly be able to see everything in real time, you know how many times I've said in my lifetime, well, they haven't got the docs in yet. They said they have. They haven't. It's right here. Just look, right? You control everything as you should because you're the one that starts the process and you're the one that ends the process. I sold my mom and dad's house in Iowa, 15 minutes. That's how long the closing was. 15 minutes. I bought my house down in Florida, less than 22 minutes, 21 point something because I time it. That's how stupid I am. But I want to tell the story of reality. You can do all of that and my closing's 20 minutes. How amazing is that? That's where we're going. It'll be that fast. You need a correction in title? Corrected, done. It's going to be that fast. And we're talking about the biggest title company in the country saying it. Yes.
I never feel like title's the problem or insurance is the problem.
Lender's the problem.
Lender's the problem.
Yeah.
And even hearing 2 weeks, I don't, I've been in lending and I don't trust the lending system to be able to do it in 2 weeks.
So you're in our underwriting 24 hours. The problem with the lenders is this, is if they're not, I'm just gonna say it, if they're not a level of education to understand the process of them putting in somebody into a loan for a specific house or a specific area that may be acreage is more live size than the actual house and all those things, that's where the problems fall. Right now, for example, we have intelligence system, AI, we call it Ask Mom. Yes, that's funny, but that's true. I ask Mom every day. So ask Mom, and you can ask Mom a question on any certain file. It will tell you within 10 seconds what the answer is.
On any
File, any circumstance. Hey, I got a property that's 5 acres. We have one house on this square footage. Is this doable? No. That's where the problem with lenders is. It's not the problem of getting the deal done. It's the problem of being an underwriter or processor doing it because they all believe they can do all of that.
And they don't ask that question until day 29.
That's right. That's like saying, okay, let's be honest. Condo question. You guys don't do much condo. Condo questionnaire needs to go out like yesterday.
Right.
Because if there's a problem, I can deal with it in the first 2 weeks. I can't deal with it on day 22. I can't do, we do, employment right away. Are you still employed? But we still have to check 48 hours before to make sure they're still employed. I can't help that they quit their job or got fired. Right? Or here's a great one. Somebody says, I'm a nurse. What kind of nurse are you? You work full time, you get a W-2, or you work certain hours based on when need. Completely different circumstance. They can't write something saying they will be hired, seen for the unseeable fortune. No, they're an hourly employee. We dictate their hours. It changes the game altogether. It's those situations that causes your headache.
2 days before closing.
Yeah. I would say you should be concerned with 7 days before closing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the whole get, right?
I mean, it's kind of different than especially the agent. Right?
Correct.
I mean, it's
Correct.
like all agent stuff, because they've had that experience.
But you just kind of suck.
I mean, I'm just doing that. Not you, most ones.
Yeah, but the reality is, what you're going to see is you're going to see the cream of the crop always rising, and the rest will go away because AI is going to take over. It just is. That's why you're going to see the about. We can get through process very fast. For example, I'll just give you an example of us. I had a situation up north, a friend of mine I've known forever. Lender said that she could do it, and she couldn't. Why? Well, the guy inherited the house. You guys are gonna crack up at this. Lived in the house for 5 years and never reported the deed on it.
Hmm.
So you actually been paying tax and everything for someone else because they don't exist. You're trying to sell a house you can't sell because the person's dead. Think that's a problem, everybody?
Yeah.
Do you think they closed? Nope. No one asked the right questions. That's what happens when you get tired of 3 days before closing. Why does it say Herbert? Who's Herbert? But you know what we did? We bought the house and serviced it ourselves so the person could close. Because we service 12 million people.
So when you say we,
Our company, Mutual on us. We will service loans that at times can't be sold, or we'll service loans to where we can make money. Right? Because the money in mortgage is servicing. At one point during the pandemic, we had gazillions of loans serviced, but you know what? What happens when interest rates go up when you have a 2.5% interest rate? You making money or losing? You want to make money on the 7%. You're getting rid of that as fast as possible. But the reason Mutual started their mortgage business was to service their clients. They have 115 years worth of clients. That's a lot. You might as well build something around that. And that's what they did. And that's why we service loans today. Is that situation just happened 2 weeks ago. We bought the house. Our company did to service it so that person could close on the new construction. We'll service the loan. We'll record the deed for them. In 60 days, once it's recorded, in 6 months, we'll go ahead and move it to Fannie and Freddie if we decide to do so. Lots of flexibility. But that's not ever going to solve the problem that we're talking about. The problem is that we just create the very best environment, hiring the best in the community, because honestly, guys, my time is spent 6 months with them because I said we're not going to go fast. And I don't want them to go fast. I want great people to make great decisions, not make spontaneous decisions. And great people don't. You guys aren't spontaneously just gonna say, I'm done here, I'm picking up and moving. You're put a lot of thought into it if you're going to do it. Would you agree? It's the same principle. There's a lot of people getting in our industry that are getting out. Our industry has lost almost 70% since 2000, which is great. I love it, to be honest with you. I'm good with it because those are the ones creating part of the problems, to be honest with you. Babysit. Great question. Keep coming. I like the hard ones. Go ahead.
Okay, so, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like this was something new, and yet you're saying that 30 years ago, you had your license.
So what's new about it is HUD and RESPA have endorsed it.
Okay.
The problem is this, in the process. It's always been okay to do both for Fannie and Freddie, but not all the other FHA and VA and everybody else does with, even the mortgages. The key to it is no one's ever spent the millions of dollars. They're being closed every single day in a country because everybody wants to do it. Every bank and every company wants to do it. The dilemma with that is that we didn't do it until 3 different law firms said it was okay to do it and spend the money. We had the money to spend and do it right. So RESPA and HUD said, it's good. It's okay. But here's what you got to do. You got to hire them and benefit. Because if you're going to hire them and they're going to do this, you got to protect them. The only way we can hire you is to benefit you. That's why you get the 401k. After that, then we have to license you. Everybody, I ain't taking tests. Those tests suck. Well, I get 97.3% of the people I help through it get through the test. It's not a hard test. You guys are all real estate agents and live it every single day. It's going to be okay. Once you do that, we onboard you, you pass an app. That's it. It just creates another conversation. I firmly believe that the agent should be at the highest level of the trophy in the entire room when it comes to real estate. Because you're out there finding the lead. You own the lead. You spent the money in the lead, the time of the lead. Now let's do something with it that's going to monetize you as well.
So before, you were working with finance companies that use it. Or
Now, I've only worked for 3 companies in 31 years. I'm not a big mover.
He got licensed, but he did not pursue real estate.
That's right. I didn't pursue it. Because back then I had it and everybody was doing it. I just didn't see the logic because I couldn't figure out where my motivation was to do it, because that means I'd have to build a real estate team behind me. And I'd have to build a marketing team and mortgage team behind me. And I'm like, I don't have the energy for that. So I just didn't do the real estate side of it. I just did the mortgage side because I thought if I can do the buys and all the refinances, my brain said, well, if they're doing 1 at that time every 7 years and I'm doing 5 over the same 7 years, I'm going to make more money. That's the reason.
So you were an actual loan officer.
Forever.
Okay.
That's why I said when I did 316 million production just in database, I built my whole business to a 7th level from this book. That's why it's in shrink. But that's the reality to it. That's the way I did it. And I just chose to be a part of Keller because I believed in the models and systems that they built. And I just copied and ripped off and duplicated. Why should I go back to my thing and go, all right, I'm going to engage, but how am I going to do it? I don't want to figure it out. I just want to say, if you're doing a good way, I'm just going to copy you and rip it off. That's what I did. Yeah, good question.
What success stories, if any, have you had in getting other agents, real estate agents, and companies, other companies to say, okay, yeah, you're an agent, a real estate agent, you're also a mortgage officer. I have a been where they're like, okay, what's in the brain?
I just need clarification of questions.
So Chris is an agent, he's got his lender, I'm an agent, and I'm also a mortgage license, or hello, how do I get Chris to send it to me if he's not?
So he's the agent and you're the real.
I'm a different, unlike, how do we go, oh yeah, use Brandon as your lender. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so like, how do we get another real estate agent to say, I'm gonna send my buyer to you, Brandon, who is a real estate agent, but not going to be.
Well, I'm not doing that.
Well,
If he's trying to
Directly to the loan.
other agents in our business, you know.
yeah, so there are people out there. It's like an HR.
What success have you seen, if any, where you do get any of that, or is it just not?
So I'm gonna be honest, there's 1 or 2 where they've gone the opposite, listen, I'll get licensed, I'll do everything, but I'll look at them and go, wait a minute, I'm paying you all the money out of my clients to do it? That happens for about a day and a half.
I just don't know if somebody had figured out.
No, you gotta really all figure it out. It's just the crowd that are around says, do you want to take my business and mine? I might as well do Todd and do pass the test and monetize it myself. Yeah, so it doesn't, so the answer is, a lot of people thought it until I recognized the idea is, are your friends gonna actually do that when they can do it themselves?
Well, I'm not gonna send you my clients though.
Right.
Like they're my client.
Correct.
Yeah.
Why would I give them to you? I'm
Believe it or not-
not in your database. I mean, I look to share and collaborate, but you're not gonna.
So let me just, go ahead.
One, if Dawn has a listing, let's just help us do that. Brandon has a buyer who's using Brandon's pre-approval letter. How does does Dawn go?
No, that's a good question. So know enough agents around the United States to where before, in my 7-month decision to do this, I called listing agents around the country. And I said, if this situation happened, what would you think about it? I think I talked to 12 really high producing listing agents. One said I would ask about it. The other 11 said, that'd be my dream come true. Because I'm going to them for everything and I don't have to go find somebody else. There you go.
And that kind of goes to Michelle's point of, I mean, there's a podcast that I listened to where they said the home buying process now is you go find a realtor, make sure it's the right realtor. Did you sign with the realtor? Are you showing the houses? Did you look at somebody else? Oh, you weren't supposed to look at somebody else. Now you're going to get a lender. And now go shop that lender. The lender's going to send you to somebody else in a different application. And they got the phone and call somebody else. So that's a great point that now Brandon, in fact, can get straight to that lender for you too.
Well, it's over 80% have anxiety over having to go find those people. And it's like, I want to use Michelle. I want to use you. I just want to go one place, do it all, and move on because I don't have to think anymore.
You don't trust them.
That's exactly right. My point.
They're gonna come ask.
They're going to come ask you. You might as well give them the information they need so they don't have to go find it.
I'm already.
That's right.
The three lender options that I work with on
Right.
a regular basis.
Yeah.
First time home buyers.
Yeah.
And the one, if you knew that one of the lenders had a better program that maybe Mutual of Omaha didn't have, like, you're gonna do your fiduciary duty to your client.
Absolutely.
And like, you're not going to have that conflict of interest. Well, I'm still gonna send it to them because I'm getting paid. You're gonna do,
Mutual does offer basically everything out there for every type of buyer, I would hope.
128 products. You can't even imagine. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, so what we do, time I go, okay, I go, okay. I say to the lender, and we did this with them, what do we have to have that I don't know about? Now, I know in Illinois what we gotta have, but let's say in Texas or Minnesota. I need to have Minnesota House, you need to have this, you need to have this grant program, great. Well, we'll try and get all those things, and we have a group just does that. So the reality is, we want to cater to what's going on within that specific state and also community, because in Illinois, north side of Illinois is a lot different than the south side of Illinois. It's a different world altogether, right? So you have to cater and understand that what north of I-80 needs and what south of I-80 needs are completely different things.
Totally not off the subject, but it's not the direction you're going, but does Mutual offer non-conforming funds?
Yes.
That's all, I'll stop.
No, you don't have to stop. You can ask me anything you want. I mean, the idea is yes, yes, and more yes. That's, and again, it took me 7 months and 31 years being in business to go, is this the right thing? Because if it was right, the reason I got the OPs involved was it had to be right for the agent. It didn't matter about. Because if it was good for you, it would be good for me, right? All I had to make sure was everything was in position. Like the biggest problem I always saw when something like this happened was appraisers. I'm not sending somebody from Chicago to Peoria to do appraisal. So they get to pick their own appraisal panel. The appraisers that you all know and love, they can put on their own panel and we only use that. If he has a title company, we'll push everything through your title company so the benefits come to the markets. Everything for us is driven by the exact house I'm standing in right here, not what house I might be in tomorrow.
And one of our big non-negotiables was the NXT program. And when we got our first call, Kevin in the pricing department had worked somewhere else, didn't really love the idea of it. We talked him through, he said it was, very administrative work, things like that. We're now working through it. So that started day one, got it approved, we're signing off on it. But those were the things for us that we weren't going to leave because we did it legally. We did it legally, per se mortgage, we had a program. We were coming back to, we're gonna bring all these programs with us. That way your buyers can still benefit.
And it goes for me. I mean, I keep big enough, I could not work a single day and play golf every day if I wanted to, and never even be in it, and everything would go just like it was if I was in it. That was the point of building that team. But I gave it up to do this, because I found value in this opportunity, bringing people together in a relationship that was different than we'd ever seen. I just truly believe this is where the world's going, because one of you said it, that they already trust you. They should be using you for everything, right? Yes.
Circle back to the script. So the thing that I mean, is closing my financial interest. So I get all the benefits of this. I feel like confident.
Slows.
I don't feel great about that. I'll be honest. I feel like
Slows it in. When I'm writing my own loans, we're not required, but the rest of it has to slows that.
so. But if I felt that I needed to, in order to present my 3 lender options,
Yeah.
this is mine. These are the people we use. Is there? How would one go about it? I know you're not recommending to me. What?
How would you go about it? How would you have the conversation when you're referring, referral partner? Do you tell your client that you're getting compensated?
I do. Yeah.
And what is your script around that?
My script is I'm recommending someone who I think is going to serve you well, and they're going to offer me a portion of what they earn as I recommend them as a great partner for
Good script.
Great script, good job.
Because you're afraid that people are gonna think that
you. Is that, yeah, well,
It's
I think
the same thing.
it's as part of my script now for lenders and I recommend these people because they're wonderful. I don't get anything. You use what you want to use, and then I'll send it.
Wants to say it, but what you just said is
Sorry.
perfect. No, it's sorry, because you should be able to say whatever you want with confidence, because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to me. The whole point of me doing this was fiduciary. That was my work.
Yeah.
If this is not acting a fiduciary way to the client and the agent, I'm out. Period. It's like saying everything that's special in our world has a price for special. And because it says we got this special, no, it's not special. It's special to you, but not the fiduciary responsibility of the client. The reality is, whether you do or don't do it, it's the same interest rate. It doesn't matter to us. We make everything the same in all 49 states we're licensed. Because I'm never gonna have somebody calling from California to him or her saying, oh geez, I can get a cheaper rate. No, we actually manage the rates every day based on locality to make sure that it's competitive. We did that with these guys. I have another group that I do the same thing with in South Dakota. It's a small town, bank driven. They just wanted to make sure they were gonna be competitive. We do it. We tweak the interest rates on a regular basis to make sure they're fair. That's a fiduciary. I have to make sure that, but if you want to say that, you should say it because you're not saying anything wrong. And you know what? Who cares? They're getting everything from you and the opportunities there, they should pay.
And a lot of the clients are gonna be happy. Oh, wow, great. We got compensated.
See that the insurance issue with the referral. The same reason. But also I feel better about saying it up front. Then I want someone to read the fine print and maybe like, oh my, send it to us.
Yeah, and so just, you know,
Yeah, disclose this one.
always, you never lose by over disclosing, right? But we put in the application package that, we're licensed both at Keller Williams and also Mutual Mortgage. They know that, they're signing it. That's explained to them. Affiliated business agreement, you don't have to have it because we're not selling shares in it, but a lot of OPs will say, we're just gonna put her on this. Okay, do it. I don't care. I'd rather oversecure than undersecure anybody's emotions. That's a great question. And the reality is, go ahead.
I had somebody just 4 days ago ask me, hey, where are I? Well, I got to jump in and we're gonna do this. And they're like, oh, great, I'd rather you get everything anyway.
Yeah. And
It's all for free.
the people that go through this is that whoever's going to take the journey, I'm taking it with you, to be honest with you. And, if you need scripts, I've written scripts for everything. I have more files of this than I can possibly tell you, because that's what I do day and night. Because if somebody says, what do I say? I write it and send it to everybody. Please do. I would appreciate that.
Well, because I'm gonna steal your referral agent script. Okay. have that somewhere. I need that. Now, Todd, what do we do when we send out emails? So we're sending out for clients. We then have our other license.
You send your approval, you're sending your name and also the names of the three of them.
I'm sorry. So when they send us an email, they have their name, but then they have the license number
Yeah.
with it. Do we do that?
Yeah, I'll even do business plans for you.
And do we do that in regular conversations? Do we have to disclose both? Or those only when we're doing the loan?
You don't even have to disclose any, say I'm licensed in both.
Okay.
Yeah, because on your business card, it'll have a license on your signature, it'll show your license. I even have, we actually, we have a system called Total Expert, which is a marketing and database system that is powerful I've ever seen. But as soon as your name goes into it, it generates like 350 different things that you can send out to your clients instantly. The reality too is people have the terms and the interest rates for their clients in their database. Anybody raises their hand, I'm gonna fall over backwards. Okay. So you actually build a system that actually will hydrate your database all for you and put it in there. And so let's say, for example, you're tied to them, let's say hypothetically. We set every client's interest rate at 3/8 below where they are in the market. So let's say they're at 5 and we set it at, whatever.
Or when you say we set it, where you,
Our company statutory
The trigger?
with the trigger system.
okay,
So what we do is.
so you know what the rate is based on.
We're gonna give you your database full of rates and everything. We'll hydrate the whole thing for you, but we set it up as a system. I don't want you to think, I just want everybody to do. It will trigger, let's say, them and you. When the interest rate's 3/8 below, trigger both, and now you have a reason to call and say, hey, it looks like there's an opportunity for a refinance here for you. I'm gonna connect you with the gang back here. They're gonna do everything. We'll together get you to the close. It's that fast. My director of operations now is running that for the entire company. So I'm putting her in that place that she will make sure that every agent's being texted all the triggers and make sure your database is secured. Your database belongs to you. Anything that goes to your database, and let's say that client refers another client, that will be also tagged to you. So in the future, if that refinance happens, you'll also get it. So my database was attached to every agent in the country that was doing business with me. Anytime I did a refinance, I called and say, finance for them. I would have rather say, call them, hey, we're doing a refinance, you want to join in, pass your app. Same thing, we secure, make everything, systems work that make things easy. And I don't want anybody to think, I don't want you to be a lender, I want you just to do your business, and hopefully this creates more opportunities in your database for you to do things you've never had the chance to do.
And we can do this like nationwide, right? Like worldwide.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the first thing I say, who do you know in places? Let's just say Florida, Tennessee, and Texas. Great. You think you'll do at least 3 transactions in states this year between refinances? Yeah, it should. Great. Let's just license in those states too.
Well, what if we're not licensed in those states? What if we're only licensed here?
And that's okay. I can still license you. You have your license in London. I can license you anywhere you want to be.
But can you lend anywhere?
49 states.
If I
What
don't
if I
have
don't
my
wanna do
license? What if I'm only gonna do one?
The option one call. So the reality to this is, let's say, for example, where does most of your referrals go? You said most of my referrals goes to Tennessee. Great. What would it look like if we licensed you in Tennessee and let's say you got a referral fee of 25% and you referred the person and when you just passed your app and did a mortgage, you gain an extra 50 basis points. Now you're making 75 versus 25. So the reality is that you can capture and create that opportunity for yourself because you're licensed in 2 different things. So if you want to be licensed in Florida in real estate, it might be hard being an agent there when you live here. But if you're passing business there, you might as well capitalize. Let's say your family lives in Wisconsin. You might as well get licensed in Wisconsin if your family can do business.
But if it's just a one-off,
Just a one.
if it's just a one-off, we're not gonna get compensated. Like if we're licensed here, and I'm like, oh no, I just have one in California that I.
No, you have to be licensed in California.
Right.
Yep. Think of another question.
I probably always do, but I don't know what I do.
Okay. I thought you were trying to say something.
I think you were, hitting on something that I guess I remember about the automation within our CRM to notify us. For our clients.
It's called Oasis. And what it does is it monitors and tracks interest rates, and that's how they lock their interest rates. that it'll track your client. And the reason I always say is three, it's not always the opportune time to refinance, but if you set it at a time, somebody say, well, I'm gonna set all mine at 0.5%, it goes lower. Well, by that point, Chase and every town, every bank in town's already talking. I want you to be the first to talk to them so they utilize it. I want you to be ahead of the curve. If I set everything, I would set mine at 0.25%. Why? Because it came out talk to them all. Hey, by the way, we're 1/4% below. So what do you think?
Perhaps there is also these integrate triggers for clients that we don't have the information for, say they're investor clients and they always buy with cash, but you know they're financing out there with different banks, right? So perhaps there is some automated generation about interest rates and how they're falling and, right? So they've never used us for financing, if this makes sense. It's a cash buyer always, but I know he uses different banks for financing different things, right? That maybe we feel is related commercially perhaps.
Yeah.
But I want to identify and show him, hey, rates are at this right now, perhaps you want to use our company to refinance something.
Yeah, we can do that. Turn on every single day. So yeah, that's not an issue whatsoever. When you can put them out there to whoever you want, it's not an issue. And I always write the disclosure underneath to make sure that these averages are, there's 30, depending on the 37% of these people are paying points involved in that, but it's worth a conversation.
I think your question for commercial points.
It's so complicated, I can't do it. So just never get it.
And I think what you were asking about, you know, that, license number being displayed on anything that we send out to our database, whether we're thinking about real estate or financing, that it should be there always.
Yeah.
I think for real estate, we have so much, license law, marketing, right? We always have to disclose that we're a licensed agent. I think that's what your question was, is like, well, what do you do? License.
Right, do I just,
What you want to do is you want to have your app on your signature line. And all I'm going to do is put your MLS and put equal rights housing on it. And then you can click your thing and start it.
So I have my license.
for real estate.
What's, no, for finance.
Okay.
So what is next step? Once I have my license with you, this all, what are next steps?
So I talked you all the way through, I've got your back all the way through the process, giving you the day app, it's gonna be okay. Once we do that, then the three of them will sit down and talk to you, I'll do everything for you behind the scenes to make sure my team, make sure all that comes together. I will always make sure and say to all of you, listen, if you have a bright idea, don't do it without showing it to me to make sure that you're all compliant. But I'll check it. You know, I have a plethora of attorneys that fill this room to check all those things. But I can look at it literally in 3 seconds, very much. Just sort of.
So once we have license, then you or them?
They're the ones that would be doing the work behind the scenes. I would be the go-to for all your answers to questions and things. Or can I do this? Can I do that? Once they
I'm
get
just wondering who's,
those three and me.
Okay.
And you call any one of us. If they don't know the answer, they're gonna call me anyway. Yep. Absolutely.
So it almost seems like you're more kind of the process of getting this.
I'm the process, I'm a person, I'm gonna keep you energized, I'm gonna say, don't do that, do it this way, you're gonna have more opportunity this way, all those sorts of things, again, because I did it forever. But you're gonna be really engaged with them, honestly, and I'm gonna be the one just making sure everything's going perfectly behind the scenes. And there's a problem, they need something, they're gonna call me or a couple other people, let's say it's a file, we'll get it over it. Yep, good question. Yes, somebody, yes.
So if I wanted to connect a lender to you that could possibly start this program with me, is that a possibility?
Anything's a possibility. I would talk to him right behind you and he can help you answer that question.
He'd be Josh.
Yeah, absolute opportunity goes through Josh. Josh, Jackie. Yeah.
I mean, not like a lender not here, farther away.
Oh, further away? Sure.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them for sure. Absolutely. Yep. I get that call almost every day. Right. But I'm being very honest. I'm very picky. Just from the fiduciary responsibility, I want the greatest people working with the agents. You just can't be somebody that, hey, I want to do it. So they took 6 months because that was purposeful. We wanted to make sure we were all on the same page with standards, values, ethics, and everything that went with it. And I would say the same thing. If this is a journey you want to take, let's take it slow. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Let's make sure it's comfortable and makes sense and all the things. Can you tell me where?
Maybe Marcel's.
Huh?
Marcel's.
Okay,
Point.
okay. It's worth a conversation. We can talk about it a little deeper if you want to stay on it. What else?
You offer home insurance?
What?
Home insurance? Home insurance?
All issue mutual?
Yeah.
Not yet. And I say not yet, because now that they're in real estate, you can bet they're gonna be doing it.
He also doesn't offer us health insurance yet.
Very funny that you remembered that. With a little bit. So there's not a single agent in the United States that say, can I take a 401k and get health insurance? Not yet. Yeah, just so you know what I just say yes. Yes.
It's time to ask, or maybe you have a plan for explaining this, and it's good to wait. But what does the actual task look like? So I'm just thinking of
Doing
like
what?
processing an
Licensing?
application
Oh.
for a client, and then through loan acceptance, like what would our role, how would you add to our current task load in terms of?
Responsibility.
Yeah.
So all we are doing is
That's it.
referring.
I just don't want you to be a prophet to Lance. You're excellent in real estate, be excellent in real estate. I'm licensed you to create the
So we
opportunity.
to answer questions about
Yeah,
underwriting.
They answer the question.
Questions about,
Here's the script, let's do the scripting, okay? So if we're doing this, listen, I'm licensed. I have a partner, which is this team. We're gonna help you get going together. I'm gonna pass your app right now. They're gonna call you to finish the application process. All your questions, go to them. Together, we'll get you to the closing table.
okay,
There you go.
that was the answer I was hoping for.
We all were. I would take the arrows from any of them. If I said you guys all had to pick up documents and everything, because that was part of it for me is that I wanted, because I built a team where I didn't have to do much, that was perfect. The purposefulness is I wanted to choose what I did. I did this. I was in front of agents and hung out with agents every day. My thing was I was not collecting pay stubs. I got other people to do that. The point is, I'm not having you do anything I don't want to do. That's not my specialty, right? They have loan officer assistants that will be collecting this information so they can focus on the relationships with all of you. So they're not really doing it either if they don't have to, right? There's always layers to it, right? Their job is to manage the layers. My job is to make sure you're all happy.
So ours is the conversation, ours is the application, and then.
You're passing it in. I'm going to pass. So it's like, when we talked to Gary about this, it was this conversation. He goes, so this is actually really not any different than what they do already. And I said, well, let's talk about that. I said, what the normal conversation is, we're going to go ahead, get you connected with our lender. They're going to figure out what you can afford, what your comfort level is, and all those good things that go with it. I'm going to go ahead and pass my app to you, and I'm going to have them give you a call right away and finish up the application process. He goes, what? He goes, that's it? That's it. They said, I'm going to pass my app. They didn't say I'm going to pass my lender's app. That's it. Yes, sir.
Most of this starts at pre-approval, right? Because we're getting pre-approvals before we're ever writing a contract.
I sure hope so.
So you, I know, right?
Yeah.
That generates pre-approval, is that where you're starting?
But you should be passing that out if we do open houses. I mean, I have agents who have done open houses and got 3 pre-approvals and didn't sell the house. Think about that, right? It's just the opportunity, right? And market it like crazy. You might as well use your app, not any offense to their app. It's the same thing. We're doing the work, you're passing the app, you're licensed, you're doing the position I had for many, many months.
We have a portal then that we go in and you can see the.
Yeah. You're gonna see a portal where you see a process where everything is, oh geez, I just got the documents. Oh geez, we'll clear it closed.
License.
Huh?
No, but under apps that I use, I get updates like that.
You can get updates like that, you're just not seeing like real time, it'll say, done, or whatever, I'm giving you full access to see anything you want to see.
That's fine.
But a big question that we get all the time is, how quick can you get somebody pre-approved? And our answer is, we can move as quick as the customer. Like Todd said, when you have the people that are like, I did the app, and then they walked away from it for 2 days and didn't do any documents or things like that. Well, that, you now have that transparency to see where they are versus like Todd said, they're calling saying, I did it. I did it, it's my pre-approval, and we're stuck saying, we're calling them saying, we need stuff, we need documents, because, you know, that's our thing, that we're not gonna write pre-approvals any differently than how we do it now. Income verified, assets verified. We have a lot of awesome tools too that can get direct verification. So Chris, you were mentioning like, you know, some of the last minute issues. But we have new tools like day one certainty that give you breakdowns of verification of income and assets and things like that, which remove a lot of the hurdles that pop up last minute. Because what happens is when we're going through a process, people send a picture of a pay stub, send a picture of a bank statement. But then that's where those issues arise because you're in the loan process with these formal documents. So then you get pay stub number 3 that it's variable. They only work 10 hours. And then that just draws all these issues. Well, we've got these verification of employment to see here's the number of hours that you work, here's the average, here's your salary, bonus, commission, everything out. With everything spelled out, so it removes a lot. Yeah, and that's immediate.
And us being able to see it ourselves too.
Well, so we had a situation last week, 2 weeks ago happened where the agent called and said, you know, they keep saying they're saying the same bank statements. They're sending the bank statements, they're sending them. Well, let's look. Let's open it up and take a look. Yes, they accept the same one 3 times. That's for the other 2. Whereas before you go, why don't you get statements? What's going on? Why? Because, yes, no health insurance stuff, you know.
Other mortgage brokers that we work with on a regular basis, are they allowed to buy them? Or are you guys on something?
You can ask.
Hey, if you're dealing with a bank, you're really not going to buy it on the weekend, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
No.
Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Be in Florida, in Florida, and he's responding right away.
Thank you for the endorsement. Like it. That's pretty obvious. Slowest solution, move as fast. If you represent standards of the expectation, then everybody understands what's going on. And if you don't agree with standards, you're just not a fit. It's not personal. I just gotta move on to somebody who is.
Team too, because like you do have your personal life where you cannot do that, but we can always go back and forth.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it. So we are.
Jackie got a house close to everyone, like literally in the last like 20, I don't even know how to do it like magic, but she that was stepping in and helping supporting and ended up being,
Yeah.
So I attached her.
That's fine.
That's good. That's a good time to quit.
Everybody okay with the program? Everybody got something okay, please? We have chiefs here. Let's do it. Thank you for coming in, everybody.